5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, everybody. This is Ace from Ace Corner Talk. Glad y'all in the building. This is Ace from Ace Corner Talk. Peace to everybody. Peace to everybody. Today we're gonna get into a beautiful, nice build. Single-parent household versus two-parent households. And I actually have a guest online, and I want him to introduce himself. He's not a stranger to YouTube. He's one of our YouTube finest. Hey, brother, introduce yourself real quick. Hey, no doubt, no doubt. And we definitely want to start talking about some of the narratives that are painted about single parent households and two parent households. And as you see, Nehemiah is on the side that has the single parent household, and me myself, Ace, I'm on the side of the two parent household. So what I'm going to do is, to the best of my ability, hey, what's up, Logic? I ain't even know you was up, bruh. But to the best of my ability, I'm going to try to give you some insight on two-parent households, and then I guess Nehemiah is going to give you his insight on the single-parent household. Not that he grew up that way, but he's going to address it and give you some pointers. Now, I'm going to speak for the present. Let me see something. Let me get this chat right. I'm going to speak for the present and talk about like the here and the now, right? So as it stands, I live in a two-parent household. I have me and my wife. We've been married for 16 years, been together for 17 years. So we're raising 4 kids at this time. And I have 5 kids total. I have my daughter and my grandson, and I have my 4 boys, and which live with me and my wife. So giving you the perspective of a two-parent household from my eyes. Now, knowing how I grew up, which I grew up in a single-parent household, but had my father there up until a certain particular time, I see the difference in how strenuous it can be with not having the other parent. All right, when I was growing up, my father used to take me to baseball games. I used to be, he used to have me in different little Pee Wee Pop Warner League, different little things. But then up until the point I moved, it kind of put a strain on the relationship, and thus we lost contact. And with that being said, I went through a string of emotions not having my father there. And then not having my mother there, and I'll clarify this, not having my mother there, it was basically she was in the military, and every time she had to go on tour, or every time my mother had to go out in the field or to different countries and stuff like that, I had to stay with my grandmother. And that right there, I was in a mixed world because I did not have my mother at times. I didn't have my father at no time up until the point about maybe 9. I think I was 9 or 10. But I grew up like that. So it gave me 2 different points of views and 2 different way of feeling about the parents in the household. Now, when I look at it now, fast forward to today's society and how I'm living now, I think my boys have a greater advantage because they have the feminine side and they have the male dominant energy, which would be the alpha male in the household, because I am an alpha male, I believe. So they have 2 different things working in the household, which would be for their good. So, okay, my son has me where I'm interacting with them as far as how to show them from the man's point of view of what we should be doing and how to actually do it, right? And my wife is showing them the feminine energy from a woman aspect of how things should be done in far as when you get a wife, or if you choose to have a wife or whatever, this is the way it should be done, and this is how a mother should interact with her kids. Okay, come on, people. I want y'all to get your likes up. I want y'all to get active in the chat so I can know who's watching, and I appreciate all of those who's watching. All right, I want to give the call-in number because you can call in at any given time. So the call-in number is 443-376-8842. Again, the call-in number to call into Ace's Corner Talk is 443-376-8842. Be my guest. Call in at any time. Give your perspective about this particular topic and what we're talking about. So what I'm saying is, okay, I have a dual parent household with two parents in it, I'm giving you the aspect and the point of view that it's healthier to have both parents in the household because you're having a balance in the household. You're having a balance of having a father and a mother, which when one doesn't have the full energy, the other one can kick in and give the energy that, or give the perspective from each particular point of view, they can give it. Okay, bear with me, y'all, while I get my thoughts together. So you got the father that could give the male energy and what males should do and how they should be coping in this society. And then you got, what's up, family? I haven't seen you in a minute. What's good with you, bro? Then you got from the female aspect of it and how the female rolls and what they should do or how they should handle things. Okay, now it's a balance. It's a balance. And I see you, Logic. It's a balance. And it's needed, like Logic says. Logic is in the chat now. Logic says it's a balance, and it's needed. And it is needed because it gives you different ways of looking at things. As growing up in a single-parent household, I only had one way to look at things. You see what I'm saying? Up until I got into a certain age, I was able to process it a little different. But it only gave me one way to look at things. And every time I looked at things, it was from a victim standpoint. And let me go into what I mean by that. All right? Every time I looked at it, it was from a victim standpoint. I would say I don't have my father. This is why my life is the way it is. Or my mother, she's on tour. So now I'm out here alone on these streets and got my grandmother and aunts and uncles or cousins that would try to correct me, but I felt like they couldn't really do nothing with me because I was alone out here. And that's how I felt. So it was only one aspect that I had to look from. It was from the lens of being being in a single parent household, not having my father. So I blamed everything I did for not having my father. I blamed everything that took place in my life because I didn't have my father. Up until I got to the point of adulthood where I had to take accountability for everything I did. I had to take accountability just because my father wasn't there. These are my choices. But when I was in the adolescent age, not having my father there played a major role in every single decision I made, whether people recognized it or not. Whether my grandmother recognized the pain of not having a father there to talk to me, to mentor me, it was pain, and it was pain in my heart because I didn't understand why he wasn't there, and I didn't understand why he didn't try to reach out to me. So with all of those different things mixed up into the boiling pot, it caused a lot of mistakes in my life, and it caused me to go in a direction that I wouldn't advise no parent to go in. I mean, no son or daughter to go in, being in a single parent household. But now my boys have the opportunity to get different perspectives, both energies from the mother and the father, raised up in a Christian or a believing household, believing in God and believing in Christ. And now I think it's a healthy balance because we can give them nourishment from both sides. You feel me? But Nehemiah, I want you to go ahead and give your opening statement about this particular point of view from your lens. Can't hear you, bro. Unmute your mic. Got you. Got you. Let me see if everybody can hear you, Nehemiah. Is everybody able to hear Nehemiah? If yes, press one. I want to make sure that he's able to be heard. Logic. Yeah. I can hear you, but I want to make sure they can hear you on YouTube. Okay, so they can't hear you. So now what I got to do is take my mic off, off, so they can actually hear you through. All right, I'm gonna fix that right now. I'm gonna fix that, guys. All right, Nehemiah. All right, give me. I can hear you, but give me 1 second, and I'm get ready to. I'm getting ready to get you set up. It's a small delay, but it's not. It's just because of the transition between YouTube and uh Google Hangout. Correct. Let me because where the delay is, it'll catch up, but it won't be all the way. But but let me continue and then I'll get you set. But when I look at it, when I see how I was raised with just being in a single parent household, it had some long term effects on me. You understand? I didn't know how to build and didn't know how to trust and didn't know how to accept um, friendships because I was always seeking for somebody to be a friend to me when I felt like not having my father was a disadvantage to me. I don't know if y'all caught that, but not having my father, it put like a heavy weight on me. And every time I ventured out and wanted to, kind of get myself invested in having friends and different friendships, I was always losing out. I felt like every time I tried to build in relationships with my peers, I felt like I was on the losing end. Okay. Oh man, hold on there, man. Got me. Yeah, bruh. Let me stop that. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes it's hard to get this stuff together when you're trying to do one thing versus the other. All right, bingo. I got you now. Found you, brother. And now by not having my all right, say something. Nehemiah. 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 Can you hear me, Nehemiah? All right, hold on. All right, Nehemiah, can you hear me? Mm. All right, anyway, I'm not sure why Nehemiah's gone. But having having that household where not having the two parents and all of that good stuff, it was hurtful. I was in a place I was in a place of disparity. Like, I was longing to have my father there. I was longing to have the relationship. All right, I'll call you back, Nehemiah. I was longing to have that relationship with my father and wasn't able to have the relationship that I wanted. So what it did was it always had me on the defense of things. I was always coming from a defense point of view. You feel me? Always had a negative way of looking at family values and family issues. It was always from that negative point of view. Always. And now that I look at it, I feel like I was at a disadvantage. And I would say, well, man, why couldn't my mother work it out with my father? And why wasn't they able to get their life together or whatever have you? So, and I'm calling you now, Nehemiah. So what happens is I always had negative thoughts and negative ways of looking at things when it came to the parent and the households. Can you say something, Nehemiah?
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Now I think everybody should be able to hear you. I'm sorry, brother. I apologize for that, man. I'm trying to get savvy with what I'm doing. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me make sure everybody. Can y'all hear Nehemiah now? Anybody in the chat? Just let me know you hear the brother, so we can get with the build. All right. Can you hear yourself on the screen, Nehemiah?
Yeah, I can hear you and hear myself.
All right. Hey, Doug, if you can hear Nehemiah, let me know. Press 1 or say yes or something.
Oh,
All
okay.
right, bet. Now, go ahead with your build, Nehemiah. Go ahead with what you was get ready to go into.
Yeah, can they hear me? Because I couldn't really.
Yeah, they can hear you. They said yes, they can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay, here we go. Now, again, I wanted to start out with a scripture as I was sharing with you as you was putting together the description for the title of your video here.
Right.
And I wanted to go to Isaiah 3 and 12 through 15 because I get most of my information from that. You
Okay.
know, don't hold that against me. You know, but at any rate, Isaiah 3 and 12 starts off by saying,
Ah, all right.
I'm sorry,
Nah,
it
you good. You
says,
good. Take your time, because I got to get your volume up. Now they say your volume low. Boy, I
yeah,
can't win for
yeah,
Luke.
I heard Doug share with you that your videos are tending to be lower.
All right, go ahead, say something now.
It said, as for my people, children are their oppressors. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, it said, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. So that would, include women and children. And that's kind of like what you see above me, women headed households, single families. Let me do this. Because I hear echo. Do you hear echo?
Nah, I don't hear the echo. Why? It's an echo?
Yeah,
You
I'm hearing the echo. I'm not sure, but let me continue on.
Yeah, you loud and clear, brother. Go ahead.
It said, "Oh my people, they which err, they which lead thee, cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy path." So you got children oppressing the people of the Lord, and women ruling over the people of the Lord, and the people that lead them cause them to err and destroy the ways of their path. 14, the Lord standeth up to plead and standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into the judgment with the ancients of his people and the princes thereof. For you have eaten up the vineyard, and spoils of the poor is in your houses. You have eaten up the vineyard, and the spoils of the poor is in your houses. Talking about those that lead, or the princes and the ancient. What mean ye that you beat my people to pieces, and grind thy faces of the poor? said the Lord God of hosts. So that's kind of like, my opening for the single household dilemma that is in the African American community, if you would.
Okay.
And, you know, so when you say verses, I'm like, is it righteously we got it, or is it simply a faith thing that we just happen to be here at this particular position, and how do we deal with it all? You gave your background as to how your family formatted. I remember the day, again at 57, nearly, at 57 years old, I can remember my great grandmother that stayed not even 2 blocks from where I am at right now, and all of her 10 children. I don't remember my grandfather. He might have died. He died before I was born. My great grandfather, that is. And so all of the family, so you got 10 great grand, 10 great grand uncles and nieces, which has my grandmother in there, that have had a, a marriage that lasted over 60, 70 years. They both deceased now, my grandparents. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a generation that are still around, as I always share with most of the people that I've encountered on the internet. I have an aunt that's 93 years old that stays right up in front of me. She's been single all of her life, never married, no children. But here you have, again, my grandparent, which is her contemporaries, her peers. They were, they had the families. It was traditional then, like they say, back in that day, it was more two-parent households. It was almost uncommon to have a single-parent household. And I know that, our history, our American history tells us about that. We want to be carnal or worldly about, you know, uh, the dynamics of our demographics.
Right.
Now, my father, however, born in the 40s, my father was born in the late 30s, my mother's in the 40s. That generation, however, is where they started to become single parent. And my father always, suggests that the the government, when they came in with Department of Children and Family Services, food stamp, in other words, or welfare kind of destroyed the families. You know,
Yeah.
now, and that could lead to that, like they say, those that lead us, cause us to err, and that's the government. The government is our tool for the people that should be, bringing for, an environment so that everybody can, as they say, enjoy the pursuit of happiness. Now, the break fast forward into my time, I'm probably, I imagine, am I 20 years older than you, Ace?
It's a possibility.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't want to
right
say
there,
it.
about 20 years older than you guys, because I got children, that are you guys' age, and raising children. I mean, my two oldest, they have both have 4 kids apiece, as you described. And yesterday happened to be school day, so everybody's happy. All the kids are in school.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, it's like they raising their families the best way they know how, and they seen me and the mother go through some things, but we do try, to keep the relationships, civil. For whatever reason they didn't work out, to show up our families because our tradition, if you would, states how we're blended families. Like you said, you come from you explained your parents' situation because I was probably that person, your parent, that went through that. My wife in the military, if you would, or the father. At any rate, we inherited a whole lot of that due to, is it social engineering? Is it this and that? Come what may, is not natural, as you say. You say it's better to have two
Right.
than to have one. And I agree with that. Now, does our government suggest that it's better not to have? Uh, you know, does the government suggest that it's not because it's for everybody and not just so-called black folks or African Americans? That system, and you know, nobody's the wiser to that, but it's definitely a reality where, the women and children, the children ruling over us. I mean, the children are oppressing the women ruling over us in our community. I'm not going to say that the same for other communities that do use the welfare system quite a bit,
Right.
but without being too long-winded, I am going to say that would be a good opening to say that if Isaiah, a book attributed to Isaiah, the prophet, was speaking on a people that the children would be their oppressor and the women will rule over them, I can go outside my door and see that. I have it in my life. Like I say, my parents are both still alive, and I can talk to them on that particular issue. And again, my father would say welfare. Mother probably is not as you know equally excited about engaging in a conversation about the situation, because again, if and my father also is real quick to state how we are probably we did not righteously govern our families. How we had challenges, yeah, but then that's a whole nother conversation. So let me stay right there for now, saying that the single parent household, Isaiah 3:12, and how I could see it being, you know, not fulfilled, but simply revealed. How uh, the single parent household is due to, according to the book, a judgment from God.
Right.
And
I wanted to say this. Now, it being in a single household kind of shaped and molded who I am today to a certain degree, because when I did not when like we didn't have much money being in a single family household, you know, um, the money that came in had to be split between me and my brothers and this, that, and the third. So when we went to school decent, but it probably wasn't what I wanted. Um, I can say when it came to things like sneakers and clothing, I had my grandmother pretty much kind of catered into dressing me, which was not in the up to date things. So when I was in my grade school, like kindergarten coming on up, I really can't remember much of kindergarten, that type of stuff. But like when I got into about second, third grade, fourth grade, I had my grandmother pretty much dressing me in between the times that my mother was gone, which was quite a bit. Being in the military, she was gone a lot. Now I used to get joked in school. Kids used to tell me, "You got plastic sneakers on," and man, I used to fight fisticuffs, man. And that only led to my obsession in today, in the here and the now. Like I got over 50 something pair of sneakers. I have so many sneakers. I had to build something on my wall to support all of the shoe boxes that I have of sneakers and that. So I have like a sneaker, not to say fetish, but a sneaker obsession, because it's just something that was planted in my mind when I was in school. Like I don't know. I just buy sneakers. Some of them they brand new Jordans, brand new this, brand new that. Some of them I don't even wear. Some of them I might wear once. But it led to me being that way mentally. And it now recently, within this year, I've recently winged myself off of buying sneakers. I think I only bought maybe 2 pair of sneakers this year. You know what I'm saying? And my kids, I see them modeling after me in that way. Man, they gotta have the best sneakers, and boy, if they don't go to school, and I think when you go to school with a certain particular dress, you do get picked on, But I think my sons have the advantage because they are able to get the kind of sneakers they want, as long as they do right in school, like the behavior-wise and things like that. They're able to get the kind of sneakers they want because me and my wife will get it for them, as long as they have done what they're supposed to do, and do their chores and get good grades in school. We don't mind getting them the type of things they want. But with me, when I grew up, it was crazy, and that's what led to me having this type of issue that I have mentally. All right, now not having my father there to kind of show me how to tie a tie. You know, the first time I tied my tie and the first time I got my suits and got all that, that was a self perseverance situation for me. Because I had to go to YouTube to really learn.
What about extended family? Like you say you came up with your grandmother on your mother's side.
Yeah, I came up right. And I came up
So
with.
did she have any? Did she have any brothers and sisters, which would be your uncles and aunts, cousins in the community, male that could have substituted for the absence of a father, or was the father in the same community?
Now, my father wasn't even in. I moved away, and my father was left in New York. So it really wasn't a point of view where I had a father figure. Well, I had an uncle that really kind of, in his own way, teach me how to do things. But it really wasn't the fact that I just didn't have that bond like a son would want with his father. To say, hey, son, I love you. You're doing good. I'm proud of you. This, that, and the third. But what's your sentiments on that, Nehemiah?
Well, starting out, and I'm gonna stay with the single parent household. You know, like you said, and when it comes to providing mental formations and shelter, because we know that it's a lot of stuff out there, legal, social, and otherwise, that says is a lot of studies out there that say that the children fare better when the father's in the household. Now, my as a non-custodial father, like you say, when that issue comes up for a pair of shoes, and I'm not there to really drive home, you would not be wearing a $200 pair of shoes. I didn't get it, and as you said, you had plastic gym shoes. Well, I had the same thing. I had plastic gym shoes because it was very little resources for me and my seven siblings coming
Right.
up in a single household. Now there were, as many fathers that lived in the house for the duration that those relationship lasted, and continue to, come into this day, until we were in the world as adults, but everybody played their part in that blended family dynamic. Now, let me say that I just shared with I was sharing with you offline that my son is 15, non-custodial. We do communicate quite often. Him and my wife. We communicate, but not together. But we do communicate. Dealing with the children. The kids just went back to school. There was money involved there. There was money involved for birthday gifts. Money is involved for this and that. Now, when he encountered that, you know, thing that the young men go through, they start, becoming men. That one movie where Boys in the Hood, where the mother sent them to the father to, say, well, look, you do the job, And I always encourage Dwight. I said, well, when he get to be too much for you, send him to me. And if he's dealing with that, and he ain't trying to get over here because he know I'm gonna rule with that rod of iron, I'm gonna do that boys in the hood kind of thing. I'm gonna give him that wake up. You
Right.
understand? But
Right.
at any rate, I tell him, I say, if I just read that those that rule over us caused us to err, I say, well, there is a system, the prison to the pipeline. I'm sorry.
Nah, go ahead, Nehemiah.
Is there a call coming in to me or you?
Hold on.
Yes.
Phone.
All right.
To accept, press 1.
All right, we got you calling in. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Mr. Dawson from Waco.
All right, how you doing, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. Well, I think the key is that we don't talk enough about the difference between the one family household and one family household and two family household.
Okay.
And I think that we got to get more. We got to tell more of the truths about that, and we have to understand, and especially like, you know, I'm 51, so I see a little. I see the difference between, you see, like 40 years ago, their marriages has been in existence like 50, 60, and even 40 years. Before my father made his transition 28 years ago, my mother and my father were together over 30 years.
Okay.
So it was to me, it was like longevity for me.
Okay.
And that's what I was looking for. So even I told people to think about that too. Personally, when my father left in 1989, it was still a struggle for me, because how about you want to ask him about certain things, how you go about certain things at a certain time.
Right.
I still didn't have that, so I had to learn on my own of you know, to take the next step to be a black man. So sometimes that when you always talking about, oh yeah, when you don't have that father, the adolescent or whatever it is, it does carry on when you become older, and that's when the community come in and help, you know, chip in and help you to grow and grow in the right way. And in that part of our community, it's not happening no more. I'm not saying not in no existence, maybe it's 30 seconds, but it's not happening right now. And I think that really helped me too. That I had people in the community say, okay, whatever you do wrong, no, you cannot do that. So there is a difference, and then I urge the brothers and sisters that listen right now, if there's anything that causes confusion within the family, watch this picture called It was back in '74, James Earl Jones and Diane Carroll. And what it was talking about how the sister separates the black family. It was as if she had like 8 or 9 kids, and he was a garbage man, and he fell in love with her, and he would do whatever he can to help out the kids. But so he'd buy things to help her for the household. And then whenever like the welfare people came over, he had to hide the stuff, and he cannot be in the house. And it's really happening right now. So I urge people, if you really want to know how the system breaks us up, watch Claudine back in '74. And thank you very much, my brother. Keep up the good work. Nice talking to you.
No doubt, man. I appreciate that. That was a well-informed caller. Appreciate that, bro. Yeah, he said a whole lot. Yeah, I appreciate that. He said a whole lot in what he just said. And when you look at both sides of the fence, when you take both aspects of it, which I can do that because I didn't have my father at a certain point, and now that I'm in that situation where me and my wife are rearing and raising our kids, I can speak from that point of view. But the mental stability that I needed, I didn't have that. See, because half of the learning process is when you're young. You retain up a certain amount of information, and you retain that in your younger years during your building stage. See, I think this is what hurts a lot of. Go ahead, Nehemiah. What'd you say?
Can I ask you if your father is still alive?
Oh, alive and well. The man is a psychiatrist. The man has his own practice and business. And I talked to him. Now our relationship is kindled. But when I needed him in the building stage, see, people don't realize when you 2 or 3 years old, having your parents is key and essential to who and to your outcome as you get older. Not saying you can't be successful in a single parent household, but like you're well rounded and you can get to a particular place faster having 2 people rather than 1. And I just believe that, and there are different articles on YouTube that state that talks about that from a scientific point of view. But I'm only going off of my own experience right now, because they'll flag YouTube pages every 5 minutes. So, but what I am saying is this: so there's things that I really needed when I was 9 and 10 years old. I really needed my father to be there to help me with certain things, but I didn't have him. You see what I'm saying? When I got introduced to the street life, it was through an older gentleman that I used to rock with and used to work with. He like put me on to the street life. He put me on. Then from that point, I met other individuals that were way older than me that showed me the dope game. And then from that point, it was like that became the father that I was missing all these years. That was the point where I needed a father when I didn't have it. So I resorted to father figures that might not have been the positive people to have in my life, but I used them because that's all I had. You see what I'm saying? And it appealed to me. So what say you, Nehemiah?
Yeah. And before the caller called in, I was talking about my own personal, as you said, if I'm gonna keep it, in that single parent household that the wife is dealing with, and as many wives I've had, and I've been in those situations. It ain't probably not the best. I am the model, probably is a poster child for a single parent household creator. I suffer from almost that curse, if you would. But at any rate, like that video I sent you, saying that this young man, Ulysses Slaughter, rather, talking about the alpha male. He kind of explains a situation like yours, whereby his father shot his mother when he was young. He was like 12 years old, shot his mother. So he had to go through that healing process of forgiving his father, and so he did some great work in terms of, addressing his mental, having both parents and that being quite a traumatic experience for him. But, again, I did say that my son, 15 years old, and I shared with the wife. I sent the wife a video of a single parent mother. I assume she was single parent where she was at the school. You might have seen the video. It's kind of viral. But she was at the school and told the teachers, about how they need to work together to deal with her son and X, Y, and G. Again, it was a great story. You could almost picture it. Saying, yeah, I could see that, becoming a viral video for the single parent, that's dealing with what they deal with, But so it's so much out there. Like the brother introduced the 1974 film. There's a book out, The Miseducation of the Destruction of Black Boys, and that by Dr. John Kufu, something like that. I can't think of his name, but it's a whole lot out there to address or to add to that narrative of single family household and how we got in this condition.
Right.
Versus that thing. That's why I told you. I say you win in the battle if you're in a situation where you have a relationship where you can raise children and beat that. Uncle Sam being their parent, because that's what happens when I told the wife, I said, Uncle Sam is his daddy, because that's what I was talking about, that school to prison pipeline. It's so constructed that's set up against the single parent household, the leaders that lead, right? So you can become that, you are that antidote. The two-parent household.
Right.
The two-parent household is the antidote. And know that there's a war against the two-parent household. So I would simply say, to be vigilant because they're coming at you. I asked you earlier if you had a lot of haters. It's like, they're there. And,
yeah, they there.
The government probably is one of the biggest ones.
Right.
In the leadership, because the courts are filled with cases of, how do we break that up and do what it does, Yeah.
I think, the government does play a big part in splitting the families up, because when you look at it, the government prides itself on locking men up. They pride themselves on giving lengthy time sentences to fathers. Um, and that in itself is crazy. Trying to figure out how can I answer this call, whoever's calling me. All right, all right.
Logic.
To accept, press 1.
All right, all right. What's up?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm good, man. Hey, what's good with you? Peace.
Man, enjoying your show. I just had some input on y'all conversation that y'all just having.
Come on, jump in. That's why I put that number in that link. Come on, get in there.
Yeah. I just think the dynamics of it, if you look at it and take a deeper look, you know what I'm saying, it was different systems put in place to separate the man from the woman, and especially the black man from the woman. And then actually, I think that it started a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? What they actually went through, and they tried to empower the black woman and almost degrade the black man. And then now these things have moved in all the way into our current day. And so now we have this so-called this powerful woman, or we call this independent woman. And if you look at the scheme of things, if you have this superpower woman or you have this independent woman, that means the opposite effect of it is that you have a weak man.
Right.
And these dynamics is still existing today. And I think when you're looking at it, the overall concept of the single-parent household, you could look at it to the incentive programs that was created. The incentive programs were created to separate this household. So because the rules was laid out that, you know, in order to receive incentive from the government, the one thing you couldn't have is that black man.
Right.
So now all these dynamics is created, and see now it became our reality. And now the reality is that, you know, the man is weaker than the woman. The black woman is deemed by all to be the most successful person. The black woman is deemed to be more superior than the man. So now, you know, is that this rhetoric going around is that you don't need a man in this house, that you can do everything by yourself. And then now that's why you have these kids being raised that have kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They only got the aspect of one individual in the household.
That's true. That's correct. There was a The Darkness Awakens. Yes, I agree. And this is something he said. Yes, I agree that the government, and also we have to talk about, he says he agrees with the government, has something to do with it. Then he says we also have to talk about a certain policies, and white supremacy policies have played a part in it also, or in it. So what do you think about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree that a white supremacist system or supremacist system played a role in that, because it was actually used to design the black. I mean, it was used to separate the black man and woman. But I say that I think after a while we know that exists. We know that. I mean, if you look at every dynamic of a single parent household, and then you don't see nothing positive about it, but if we still live in that narrative where we still allow that to be our existence, we no longer can blame a white supremacist system anymore. We can only point the finger at ourselves.
Right. That's what Black Awakens. He said, and plus some of our communities had to say they act on these policies that break up our families. What you think about that? Hold on, let me. And Nehemiah, what you think about that comment that was in the comment section about?
Yeah, I see the doctor's weight simply chiming in, and what he's talking about is kind of what I said. Now, Logic did a great job at squashing all of the comments and jumping right into the.
I got another call.
Any theory that women are empowered. That women are empowered, as I keep going back to the scripture, said women should rule over them. A certain people that happen to put that description, I would, come back to what Dr. Waken is saying, and that is, our community, the other nations being it, gently white folks, any other folk for that matter, we tend to be on the bottom. and I tend to think it's there. Now, I think, like I said, the antidote, the greatest antidote is that a two-parent household that you're showing up, and that is the best thing out there to deal with it all. If in fact, if in fact you set it up like Logic was saying, if you're an alpha male, you said if I'm an alpha male, certainly not. So you say, well, this empowered woman. So you cannot have an empowered woman and an alpha male. Well, I think that it's an alpha woman and an alpha male that creates an alpha, because that's what I was sharing with you earlier, how we as the people have went through so much, and we are so great, and but we, tend to feel me, fall short, like Brother Doctor's Awakening suggests, by falling to the we're drawn away by our own lust.
Right.
So we do that. You say we act on that. You understand?
Right.
So if, like you said, a young man without a father act on he want to use dope, like in that movie Boys in the Hood, he wants to, be a man, but his mother can't actually teach him how to be a man.
Right.
So she sent him to the daddy. So, I mean, it's all there, man. Like you said, these conversations are very necessary just to deal with the propaganda, like I said, that brother did last night, on how it affects our thoughts, our perceptions, and our thoughts, perception, and emotion.
Right.
As Logic would say, the tendencies that come down the pipe.
All right. Go Logic.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, I got a question for him real fast though, because I heard something he said, and I want to actually understand exactly what he meant.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the thing about this is that what is an alpha male, an alpha woman?
Well,
right. That's what the theory is, because like I contacted Ace from this video that's posted by a local guy that's pretty powerful, Philip Shark Matthews. Have you ever heard of him?
Phyllis Matthew.
No, I haven't.
Philip Shark Matthews. We just posted a video. He interviewed a gentleman by the name of Ulysses Slaughter. And the title of the video is The Alpha Black Male, which we've heard quite often in this YouTube thing. We've heard that term. Well, they actually put one up, and this guy wrote a book, and he speaks on it. And I would just, if I were to throw my own my own definition of the alpha male, I would say that the alpha male is simply.
No, I'm not saying the alpha male. I said the alpha female.
Right. So.
What is an alpha female?
Let me say this, there, Carl. Let me say this, there, in regards to the male-female equation. I think we all men, and that we are male and female. So with that being said, and that's just scripture, saying that man is male and female. You see a dog, you don't say male or female dog, it's a dog. You don't go looking at its sex to see, that separation. That's just a construct of,
human evolution.
Kind of messed up ideology, to separate the sexes, to do the poverty thing, to do quite a few other separations.
All right. I don't know.
What say you, Logic?
I don't know if that answered your question, Logic.
Yeah, because see, the thing about this is that concept of an alpha male or a strong woman, it was actually designed by the same system that actually implemented the rules to separate. See, because once you start actually mixing these attributes, you know what I'm saying, a man, he's a protector. You know what I'm saying? He's naturally he's inherited these abilities to protect. That's why he's stronger. That's why he's physically faster. That's why, you know what I'm saying, he's a protector. You know what I'm saying? A woman have a lot of other attributes that, you know what I'm saying, she's a nurturer. She have more mental capability than a man. These are all proven existing capabilities. So now the thing is that if you try to turn a woman into a strong woman, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That means if you're not out here, you know what I'm saying, you change the dynamics. It's almost like a role reversal. And then that existence of this so-called strong woman, that existence should be destroyed. You know what I'm saying? You
Right.
just need to be a woman. Nobody want their woman out there protected. You know what I'm saying? Nobody want their woman coming in and she got wounds. You know what I'm saying? It's certain things that a woman should do and a woman shouldn't do. And then that's us getting back to nature. You know what I'm saying? A system is designed to create your reality. And
Right.
now if we look into ourselves and get back to our natural selves, we'll start seeing exactly who we are and actually what we designed to do. Because, I mean, the thing about this, a woman can't do a lot of stuff because guess what? You know what I'm saying? Her body is not physically able to do that.
Right.
You see, we start changing the dynamics. You know what I'm saying? We change the dynamics that's naturally given to us.
So what do you say about if a woman doesn't have a man and she has to resort to doing it on her own? What would you call it then, or what would that role be viewed as?
Oh, yeah. Well, see, and that goes into the problem. But see, I mean, because God, that's crazy. Because right now, they are resorting to have to do a lot of stuff on their own. But a lot of stuff they do is self-inflicted. You know what I'm saying? When you get something self-inflicted, you go into a situation knowing. And I know you got issues, you got situations where dudes are idiots, and I said dudes is idiots. But at the same time, as a female, being the one that's carried it, you know what I'm saying? Just like I said, she got that inherited mental capability. You know what I'm saying? She got to make the smart decisions because she'll be the one that'll be responsible for doing that.
Right.
She'll be the one responsible for caring for that kid. And then the man, you know what I'm saying, according to our system today, he can pay some child support and he can run away.
Right.
But now that inherited mental capability, she got to take advantage of that, and she got to actually use that. So that's why I said, when people hear me say that, you know what, if it's a 16-year-old girl having a kid by a 17-year-old boy, you know what I'm saying, that dynamic, you know what I'm saying, you know that's not going to work.
Right.
But if you still do that, then, you know what I'm saying, and somebody say, hey, look, what do you do? And the best option is abortion, but then they'll call me a monster for doing that. So now, you'll be a monster of abortion, or you'll be a fool for raising a monster.
Right. Now, I'm not with that particular thought right there. I disagree with that, and I gotta openly say that because some people they'll just because I'm saying, you know, like they think I'm agreeing with it by me saying yes, you know, I agree. No, I specifically don't agree with abortion because I believe in the spiritual realm and spiritual powers. So I believe that once you conceive and the baby is conformed, just because it doesn't have its actual limbs and things like that, it's still very much a being at that particular point. And so that's why I don't agree with that point of killing, because if I would have aborted my sons or any one of them, I wouldn't have been able to see their potential, even though it was hard at the time that that they came and things like that. It was very hard, but by me pressing forward and saying, you know what, these are our kids. We got our son on the way. We got it, or our daughter, whatever. At the particular time, we didn't know the sex, but we had to keep pushing on, not because of the hardship, but because he was a human being. Unless God decides He wanted to allow something to naturally happen, then I feel like it was meant for it not to be that way. But what if I would have got rid of my little 3-year-old Mason? I wouldn't have been able to see his smile or to see the way he is. So I don't think that people should get rid of kids just because of the hardship or because they could potentially be worse or good. I think that if they should prevent it before it gets to that point. But if it actually gets to that point, you got to deal with the cards that you dealt and pray for the best. That's what I believe. Now, I just wanted to say that. Now, the rest of what you said, I agreed on. But I just agreed that because... Go ahead.
You, I understand. Because, see, we actually experiencing stuff.
Right.
So now, if we actually, and I said this before, is that if our kids make the same mistake that we made, then I think that's where the issue comes up now. And I think this is where we're taking a stand by even talking about it.
Right.
Our kids cannot make the same mistakes we made. if they make the same mistakes we made, then that is a true issue, and it will become our reality. But as I look around, I look at generation after generation of the same mistakes, and then we continue to trend. And then now I say this: you can't blame the white man. At some point, after you know and you understand the effects of what you're doing, you can't blame the white man anymore.
Right. I agree with that. And one thing, Logic. One thing. And if anybody else calls in, I apologize. But when you call in, I'll allow the next caller to come in. But since I had one, but I wasn't able to switch over real quick. But I'll give room.
I get off.
No. Just hold tight. If they call in, then you'll know when I switch over for the next caller. So just bear with me until I get that next caller to call in. But what I am saying is this: when we look at it and we say, okay, like I'll give you the example. My daughter, she when I first found out she was pregnant, I was like, okay, cool. Now we got to deal with her. Not and I knew the father wasn't gonna be there. I hate to say this, and if she watched this, don't persecute me. I'm just I'm just analyzing a particular situation, not trying to put you out on blast or anything. So I love you, baby. But what I am saying is this: I knew the father wasn't gonna be there. But how did I know that? Just because of looking over histories and how certain things transpire. All right, cool. So I got a caller calling in. Hey, Logic, I'll talk with you in a minute. Or you can call back.
All right, bro.
Awesome.
Uncle Suge in the building.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
Hi, what's up, Uncle Shug?
What's up, brother? How you feel?
Hey, I'm good, man. Peace. What's good with you? What you got to add to this particular?
Just chilling, man. Just want to comment on one thing that was said. I think I'm still blocked, bro. I couldn't comment in the chat room.
Oh, hold on.
Unblock me if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, I will do it. I don't know how to do that, but I'll try my best. All right, go ahead. I'll look for it.
Yeah, I disagree with one thing that I heard said, and I hear it said a lot about the system being set up to separate the family.
Right.
I think our actions is what separates the family. We impregnate these women, and we don't marry these women. You know, it's a whole lot of babies that's being born out of wedlock. And I know a lot of people don't agree with the system, the way the marriage thing is set up, but that's just how families should be. Now, show me a system that's set up to keep a married couple divided and that male out the household. See, what people fail to realize is the government assistance ain't gonna take care of no man just getting that free ride, living with that woman who getting, something like Section 8, all the medical bills, food stamps in the house, and all those things they give to women for when they get pregnant or whatever. So I kind of disagree when everybody say that it's a system set up to separate the black family. We having baby after be like, you got a guy, he get 2 or 3 women pregnant, and he bouncing house to house, and the government is taking care of each one of them. They got Section 8 in this house, that house, and that house. And I just don't think that a man should be able to live free like that.
Well, I agree with that right there. Because what's happening there, that's why I think a lot of the stuff that's set up is to stop that action or counteract that action. Because if you got one more race being dominant as far as numbers versus the other, if there's a certain group of people that don't want that, then I would believe they're putting a certain particular thing out there to stop us. I think the food has a big thing to play with it. How they're trying to stop a particular race. I think chemtrails and all of these different things. If you add all of that up, it would paint the narrative or the picture that they're trying to stop the reproduction of a particular group of people. And look at the homosexuality thing, right? How they're pushing their agendas. Now, I have nothing against, let me put this out there, I have nothing against.
Yeah, Ace, I got to take this call real quick, man. Sorry,
no problem.
Man, I got to pick this other line real quick.
No problem, brother. Peace. Now, I I don't have nothing against homosexuals and all that other stuff, but I can say I think it's being pushed so heavily in the medias, magazines, and all this other stuff for a particular reason. Now everybody has their own view, but I just think that they're trying to stop the reproduction of a particular uh, race. Okay, Nehemiah, go ahead while I figure this out real quick.
Yeah, you know, again, most of the talking points are on point. That brings us to the current crisis. So, logic does address more natural situations, and we've had this conversation, Logic and I, about a natural, which is kind of older, versus the unnatural world that we are in today, with you know, like I say, those that are in power that leads us to create some of these situations because you know it's a majority rule kind of situation. So the majority rule going to bring most of their issues to the forefront, and in a lot of cases, most of those things that we disagree with, you know, tend to stem from other communities. Not to say they're not in our communities, but they do bring them forth, and that be, you know, the poverty. You know, like I said, the welfare system was created not with black folks in mind. The liberation of females were created not with black folks in mind. Most of these issues were created for the majority rule, and that is in this country, white folks. Now, trying to hold our community together in that environment, you know, and what we imagine that constitute a community, you know, is where the challenge is at. So,
Right.
you know, Uncle Suge did bring a saying that, you know, I thought he was going to elaborate on his, you know, experiences because I think that he has a household with a lot of sisters in it, maybe three and four, and maybe just him and his brother, you know. So he might, you know, have that sentiment that I was saying that, you know, this forbidden word of suicide age 29 takes up dealing with, you know, for the sisters called Logic was saying, you know, is it a simp that, you know, bags up this strong black woman that tend to be out of her natural character? You know, he did speak on her character being weaker because the Bible does talk about this weaker sex, you know, and I, you know, was sharing with him that Brother Divine Prospect said that that probably was translated incorrectly, saying that perhaps it was, you know, the opposite strength, you know, and that would kind of, you know, add to that alpha female, male, female alpha, you know, alphas and alphas, you know, just to keep it simple, you know. So yeah, it really is a lot to be talked about, a lot to, you know, put in archives so that we can review, like you said, lessons learned from conversation to get to a solution point as to, you know, how do you stop single parent households that tend to be unnatural versus, you know, constructing households that, you know, will satisfy, in my estimation, the first commandment, which is to be fruitful and multiply.
Right.
So, I mean, I jump right into fire with y'all. And I know most people going to be like, man, whatever. You know, this ain't your daddy's, your great granddaddy's relationship. This is your relationship. This is where it is right now. You know, how do you deal with it right now? So, keeping it right here in today, you know, is what I say. You know, just it's real simple and just how do you avoid, you know, destructive thought processes, you know, saying we're going to subjugate women, we're going to, you know, ostracize homosexuals, we're going to, you know, treat white folks and black folks and Chinese folks and all these other folks differently than we treat anyone else. Because again, if you're going to have an environment where everybody can thrive, We simply got to have the tools. You know, like I said, your righteousness is different than mine. So we got to respect others. As you said, you know, you don't hate anyone.
Right.
You know, you simply trying to, bring forth a two-parent household that, and I said there's a war against that, you know, only because, you know, I don't know if it's a war in reverse, you know what I'm saying, that two-parent household is warring against the single-parent household. I don't think so, particularly, but, if, like I said, if you start out at 50-50, men and women, male and female born at the same rate,
Mm-hmm.
in an environment where, the male, becomes this, what they call it, extinct, male is under this,
Extinction.
this great onslaught from all kind of angles,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that brings me to, love the brotherhood, honor all men, fear God. I mean, it's simple to me, that it's a real, I can go out there and get those stats. I can go out there and get those stats to show how, my sons and my fathers and uncles, and, we've been under, we've been dealing with. That's what I was talking about, that video that I sent to you, the alpha male.
I'll look at
It's
it.
got a lot of information in there, talking points. You ain't got to agree with all of it, because I certainly don't.
Right, but
But
it's some.
there's definitely some information in there that could add to, this archive that you're creating.
I'm gonna say this. When I was younger, me and some of the other guys, we used to have little contests, to see how many girls we can knock down and how many girls we had. We might have two girls we might have been playing with or playing around with, and we used to do these things. But some of the other brothers that I knew, they was just crazy enough to have babies with these individuals, and and I know
Only because it was allowed, like you said, only because,
the female allowed
you
it.
know, only because the government put that in there. Okay, you go to jail for this and that, because, for not paying child support, this and that. The women going, Uncle Shilba said, they gonna get DCFS, they gonna get housing, so they might even use the man as an end. Okay, let's have 4, 5 babies by 4, 5 different men and move to that state that's gonna, have we're gonna be living law, and that's what happens. So that's real. So that's why I say you gotta, if we keep it in the now and keep it real in the now, because all those talking points, all those studies, and you ain't got to do too much research. It's there.
Right.
So how do you do that? You gotta again.
Yeah, it's in the mind, Nehemiah. It's a mindset. If you, the average, now I'm gonna say this without any constructive criticism towards females, but certain females want kids by a certain looking individual. I've heard some females say this, right? I've heard of females, yeah, he got to be light skinned with green eyes or nice hair and this, that, and the third, and were purposely sought out to get a child by the individual.
And
And
that's one of those evolutionary tactics, right?
yeah, I don't know if it's evolutionary, but I do
Because it's
know
like, you
the
got to,
dynamics of
like,
it is crazy.
if it's part of our history, our epigenetic, our, cellular memory, it's like, hell, if you're going to have a black kid, you don't want to do that. You don't want to have a black baby because he catching hell up over here.
Right.
If you want to get, what I'm saying, you want a baby that, is going to be successful in this environment. So that's an evolutionary thing. It's like the weak survive, the strong step aside. That's why I said that 50% rule, the majority rule.
Right.
So most people trying to tilt the scale to get on the majority side, and that can be done, through relationships as well. That's that unnatural process that I speak of.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
I see where you're coming from, and when you look at that, certain guys, actually say they wanted to have a particular looking woman to have a baby with? Would that be a standard of the individual, or would that be a mental conditioning of the individual? Because that's why the families are not only in a single family predicament. Because think about this, Nehemiah. When you say, I want a light-skinned girl to be my girlfriend, or to have a baby with, and the dude says, I want a light-skinned girl, I want her to have my baby, but not getting to know the person, not getting to know if you're gonna be with the person, not getting to get anything about the individual, just saying you want that particular person to want the baby with. That's not logical or rational thinking, because that's why you're single, because you went for the individual for the wrong reasons. Not because you're saying, I want to be with this person, want to start a family and a life, but you're saying, I want to be with the individual for the moment just to get the particular child the way I wanted that child to look. And I think that's a crazy way of looking at things.
It's sort of like the gym shoe thing. Like you said, as a child, you know, you had plastic gym shoes, but now you want the winning gym shoes. You want, these gym shoes here. So, that one precept said, when I was a child, I thought of a child, spoke as a child, and reasoned as a child. I became a man, I put away childish things. So there is a process. There is a bias that's in the mental, as you say. That mental biases, it could be foresight, it could be hindsight. There's so many different mental biases we have, and making decisions that, if we're not aware of them, it's that instinctual thing. Like you said, it's part of our makeup. It's part of our instinct to do that.
Right.
To do that, it's part of our instinct of who we are to deal with, that pleasure, versus pain situation. We want to feel well. We want to be healthy. We want to, we want to be like the winners, right?
Right. Conceited Bristol, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. Peace to you, sis. Glad to see you aboard the chat. Aces in the Hole is thriving right now. So she says, wow, haven't heard of that. But the other way around, for me, laughing out loud, guys wanted to have babies with me. And like I said, I think color does play a part in that, man. And depending on if you're dark or light skinned, that narrative is being pushed very heavily amongst. It's a silent thing, though. Like, it's silent. It goes under the radar, but you won't know it until you get in a conversation with the individual that is sought out or seeking to do that. But it is a reality, and depending on how good the hair is, how pretty the eyes are, and how fair the skin is, that's what is being pushed to say, I want to have a child with this individual. Rappers talk about it. Celebrities talk about it. It's all over, but it's not really publicized on no front of no magazines or anything to get it to be talked about on abroad. But that's why the single family households are created in a lot of the aspects of things. But not only that, when a marriage or a relationship doesn't work out, it leaves either the mother or the father to be raising children by their own. I mean, it's different parts to make up what this really is. It's not just one specific way that it should be. You got 3 or 4 parts involved in one particular situation. It could be the coloring. It could be the relationships not working out. It can be you went and got a sperm donor. You feel me? And you just wanted to get a sperm donor, not actually wanting to have a mate or a person to help you raise the child. It can be so many different aspects of it.
Yeah, just like your wife, Queen C, said, if the person has health issues in their family and mental illness, this would be passed down to the children. So if in fact I says instinctual, that's our subconscious. So that's why the admonish is to be conscious, like you say, to think logically. Let's think before you act. Think, don't act. But it definitely need to be some some thought put into, something as powerful as, reproduction, having sex. We're in this real enlightened age. Information is there. Big data age. It's there. Like I said, there's so much, like she said, mental illness, physical illnesses, and so forth that just being passed down. I remember maybe even about 40 years ago, I was just graduating from the military, from basic training. My father came and got me, and I was reading a study about the magazine, I think it was Black Collegian or something like that. And the question was, they had a contest. Say, what can the black middle class do for the lower black middle class? And my father at that time, what I recall was say they need to line them all up and shoot them.
Wow.
And, you know, he retracts it now. He could better explain it than I can, but that's what I remember. And because he said that their children, like your wife said, their children gonna pass on. It's gonna be passed down to the children, that poverty mindset, that you know, that defeats this mindset, that mindset that we see in the neighborhood, that whole black versus nigger, equation. So they ain't gonna do nothing but produce a bunch of, people that. But that's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That was my thing. Because I know Michael Jackson was pretty popular, say, starting with the man in the mirror, and that was my, solution to the question. Simply as like everybody around the board says organic, and it starts with silk. I really believe that.
Hold on there, man. Hello, you're on the air. Ace's Corner Talk.
Hello, hello, this is Queen C. I just wanted to come in for like a second.
Well, come on in.
And give a little bit of my input on this topic. That we're talking about children and skin color and all that. I wanted to say that I used to think like that. I used to have the mentality that light skin was better, and that I didn't want to have children that were dark, and that children that were dark-headed, rough, and I didn't want to have a dark-skinned child, and I didn't want to have a child with coarse hair. And it became, and I can say that I used to feel that way because of my own experiences as a dark child. And it was when I had lower self-esteem, and growing up, my mother is really light, with red hair. Most of my aunts and my family are split, And my mother has natural red hair, and my brother has red hair, and I always used to want to be lighter, and I took, more after my dad. So, I always wanted to be lighter complexion, and I said that if I was to ever have a child, I wouldn't want my child to be dark, because every time I would get into fights with people as a child, and I never had short hair, so my hair always been nice and it's always been long, but that wasn't the issue. It was always my complexion that people would bring up. It was always my complexion, not my family, but outsiders, outside of my race, would always bring up my race, not other races. My own people would always comment about my skin color. So I said that when I had children, at first I didn't ever want kids, but I said if I ever have children, I do not want them to be dark. And I really wasn't on the hair type of thing, but okay, I want them to have nice hair. So that was before, I got older, and I realized that it's not about what we look like on the outside, you know, because they're the same as I am. You know, we're all black, just different pigment, you know, of melanin in our skin.
Right.
You know, so we are the same. So those people were ignorant and pointing out the differences, but really is no difference. It's just that they're ignorant.
Right.
You know, so when I got over the fact of listening to what other people had to say and hating their own skin and hating their own self, I had to realize like I'm beautiful the way that I am, you know, and if I have a dog, I went from not wanting a dog child to wanting a dog child, like thinking that was the most beautiful thing in the world to wanting a dog child. And it just so happened that I met you, my husband, and you are dark complexion, and I thought that your complexion was so beautiful.
Hey,
And
thank you, baby.
you are a little darker than I am, and that was so attractive to me. But in the past, it wasn't. I would never date anybody that was dark skinned. So it came with maturity, and um, now I think that now that you know it's not a issue for me. Like I'm not gonna say that I don't like light skinned people and I don't think that they're attractive. That's not what I'm gonna say. But I love your complexion and I love my own complexion now. So when my kids were born, they were born very light. Okay, and people would always say, "That's your husband? That's their father?" And I'd be like, "Yes." What are you trying to say? You know what I'm saying? Like they were all very, very light. They did not look like they belonged to either one of us, you know, and they're starting to brown up now, and they like you know they're a little lighter than both of us, but they're brown now. But they used to be so light, and that's common in our race. You know, African Americans have light children sometimes, and the parents are very dark. You know, so it really doesn't because of our line and our genes. You know, so many different colors, but we're all black, but it's just so many different shades to our complexion,
Right.
you know. So when a person is ignorant, they don't see how it can cause a child to look at themselves and not love themselves, or look at themselves and think something is wrong with them, you know. And because people were so programmed in their minds, they were always thinking that the lighter complexion was better. And it comes even, you know, with your own daughter, you know, your firstborn, you know, and you just suffer from, especially if you live in the country, if you live in the South, you know,
Right.
it's so much self hate, you know, it's so much self hate, and
And
that's
it,
what it boils down to. And I don't look at you know our race as less than, but a lot of us are ignorant. A lot of us do not know the damage that's being done with just some of the things that's being said, like this Tommy Sotomayor guy, whoever he is. You know, I've listened to a couple of his videos, and I get offended, not taking it personally, because a lot of those stereotypes that he's talking about is nothing like me. They don't describe me at all, you know.
right.
So, where he's getting this stuff from, you know, he's actually helping other people tear us down. You know, I don't want to call him no names like the rest of people, like other people do. But the thing is, like people defend him and all of that. That's good. That's all fine. And people might think, oh, he's just a character. But what he's doing is he's really helping other people tear his own people
People
down.
down.
And
Right.
it's crazy to me. You know, and I don't believe in no form of racism, not even from your own people. It shouldn't be any form of racism, you know? And why are you putting down somebody that looks like you.
Right.
I will never understand that. And he can justify it and be as ignorant as he want to be with his foul mouth and say all that he wants to say. And it doesn't make it right because he's so expressive and because he has followers and because he has people taking up for him. It still doesn't make it right,
Right.
you know. And I wouldn't dare let my daughter or son follow after somebody with that kind of mentality and that kind of thinking,
Right.
you know. So all for them, but this topic when it comes to the color and the children, I used to have that same mentality. And when I say used to, it's been decades that I used to think that way. I was very young, and it only came to my mind because of the experience I had as a dark child.
Right.
And it was other kids that was even darker than I was. But I experienced things because I was dark from my own race. And actually, white people loved me. Like, white people always complimented me. They complimented me more than African Americans.
Right.
White men always complimented me till this day. To this day, all my life, I have not received hate from a white person yet. I've received hate from my own people, and that's just real.
Right.
And I know it's racism out there. I see it all the time. But I haven't personally had those experiences. You know, I've had people that try to like downplay me when it comes to your status as far as money. Like if you go to the store, they automatically think you're broke or something like that. Now I've experienced that. You know, I've experienced that. They may think that because you're from a lower class, you know, and live in a certain neighborhood that you're broke and you don't have any money, you know, and they may talk to you a little like you don't understand, and then you talk to them and you speak intelligent and you can use, you know, the same words that they use and you can hold on a conversation and then their whole face and their whole facial expression change and you shock them. I've experienced that. You know, I experienced that. So, but self-hate is a huge issue. And it's racism going on right now with Donald Trump and the stuff going on in Virginia. And then it's very sad to watch and it's very disturbing to watch. And our society is like separated and so segregated amongst ourselves. How can we fight something and we're not united? You know, and it just bothers me so bad that it's this way in 2017. It's not shocking, but it bothers me. So I'm going to end it on that, and I'm going to continue watching. Thanks for letting me call in.
No problem. No problem. Miss Casita Bristol, I'm gonna read what you said on your comment. She says there was a couple of comments I'm gonna try to read out real quick. She says, I don't acknowledge myself as a skin color. I never did. But as I was younger, people did, but I never understood why people looked at skin color than the actual person. And The Darkness Awakens says, yes, miss, we have to learn to love ourselves as people inside and outside. And there was another comment that I liked. The Darkness Awakens says, I remember back in the 80s, it was a trend that if you're dark skinned, you're ugly. Light skin is also left profound. It left a profound on me to look. But I love my blackness, but it was hard for some of us as people to identify. Excuse me, y'all. And also, Marshwell, what's good, man? What's good with you, Marshwell TV? He says, I love you, sis, and light-skinned sister, and laughing out loud. I want a beautiful, dark, intelligent queen, no doubt. helping your brothers out and laughing out loud. um, that's Tahaga Bay, y'all. If you haven't subscribed to Tahaga Bay, subscribe to Morris World TV, and also Food, Clothing, Shelter, and Logic. If you have not subscribed, subscribe to Logic, Food, Clothing, Shelter. And if you have not subscribed to Nehemiah Israel, subscribe to Nehemiah Israel. And I wanted to say, yeah, I think, I don't know if I've really had a dark skin, light skin issue. You know, it more or less, whatever the person or the individual, however they treated me, and I guess that's what resonated with me the most, because I've had light skin, I had dark skin, you know, that, I mean, it just really didn't matter. It just you had to treat me a certain way in order for me to vibe with you and to say this is what I want or don't want. When you look at how you was raised, if you was raised around open-minded people, you would have took the approach to be open-minded to whatever color of skin individual you was with. But if you was with closed-minded people that thought that way, you would have inherited that also. What you say? What say you, Israel?
Yeah, you know, we did get off into, you know, the dynamics of two-parent household that happen to be black. And we starting to deal with the age-old, you know, separate, you know, cause of division, put the light skin against the dark skin, the old against the young, etc., etc. But I remember you were searching for some background images, and you spoke about, you know, most of the images were dark-skinned males, light-skinned sisters.
Yep.
And, you know, the one you did find showing X, and then you got the others. But your wife came in and, you know, expressed, you know, the dog test where, you know, we were underlated with white images and how, that's why I said it was an evolutionary thing, trying to survive, you know, project ourselves into a more unvolatile situation. And Brother Darkness Awake expressed that as well, said, you know, it was in the 80s, and now, you know, he's empowered with his, you know, who he is, not so much the outside, but the inside as well. So that does go, you know, back to, you know, the question I probably want to ask the Queen. It's a rhetorical question, meaning it needs no answer, but would she agree that beauty is only skin deep and beauty is in the eye of the holder? You know, so that's why I say your righteousness is not my righteousness. So, you know, when I hear that conversation, and I keep going back to that 50-50 thing, you know, we all mix with our mother and father. Whatever they were, we're a mix of that.
Right.
Anything that came before them. You understand? Good or bad. So it is a skin thing. So yeah, you know, it really is, you know, everybody's starting to understand Dr. Martin Luther King saying the content of your character. You know, it is a righteousness thing. It is, that's why I say you got to reduce that group morality. Let's leave, you know, what you feel and what I feel alone, to let everybody be an end unto themselves. Whatever you are, you are.
Right.
You know, let you be an end unto yourself. If you female, hey, be female. If you, you know, male, be that. You
right.
understand? If you want to be, you know, simple enough about it, gay, you know, I would have to extend that to them, right? You know, that you be gay. You know, I would have to extend that to whatever it is, be an end unto yourself. You know, let me not change you. Let not us change you.
Right.
Be who you are.
Be who you are. Right.
You know, be who you are, and let's come and learn how to get along with one another. Let's do this. Let's achieve the end. And a lot of people say, well, if it's the end, it's over with. And I said, yeah, you're right. You know, we don't want to get to the end too quick. But certainly, I imagine that we want equality. We want some peace. We want some, you know, and that's most people say, oh no, I heard Logic billing with that one brother, what's that brother named Ace over at the Flat Earth, Flat Power?
Yeah, brother Sanchez and brother
Sanchez, yeah,
Dre.
yeah. He remind me of
Dread, I mean.
I'm finna go there now. He remind me of brother Bishop Don Juan, this old pimp in the neighborhood. He talk like him. Yeah. I said, you ever heard Bishop? I said, man, he sounds just like the pimp, old Bishop Don Juan. But bro be bringing it, man.
In a positive way.
Yeah, he really, got some good conversation, man. Yeah, that brother be bringing it. He do be talking about keeping it simple in our constructs, constructing things versus destruction or versus, you know,
now,
it's another, I can't think of it, yeah.
now Nehemiah. Now, when we fast forward, because we can go. We went back in the day, and we went today into today's society as far as the single parent household and the two parent household. Now, I think the more stronger influence in the community will actually be the two parent household, and I have to bring that up because if we're talking about communities are built off of households. And the only way our communities will ever be corrected is unless we start practicing building stronger families.
Let me ask you this, H. Cause I have a friend, a childhood friend I have not seen in probably 50 years. She just contacted me. Well, I'll say 40 years, because we're adults. She had a son. That son is 25 now, but she's gay now. She's admitted to be, gay pride because they had that thing. So if in fact you can, this is why I talk about this unnatural world we have. So if the gay people can, create babies in a factory,
right?
Do that negate, the natural process of man and woman, because that's kind of going backwards, to the man and woman. So we got these scientists, we got this world we're in today, man, that is, it seems so evil to be able to manufacture baby through a test tube. It seems so impersonal. It seems so inorganic. It should say all living mechanism. You understand? So we know they modify our food, they modify, everything. So that challenge, you say it's the strongest, and I said the war against that. And that's what I would, highlight as the war. This science, this, man-made, man being the whole thing, man God, versus a God. A man being God, he creating these situations where, if you would, make something out of nothing, man. They could just, take a sample from here and there and make a baby. So I imagine there's many people that, cause you get a lot of those LBG communities, that's what they do. They adopt. They do artificial insemination. They go to the sperm bank. They go to all these other institutions that create these situations that allow them an opportunity to, be in the human experience. Let them be treated humanely in their estimation. So that whole battle, I mean, I think that, as you say, I believe, having that natural.
Well.
And hopefully we could sustain the natural in this unnatural process. Like Logic said, you don't want those tendencies to wind up at your doorstep. You do have to confront it at some point in time. So yeah, showing it up is definitely, that's why I say that's the best. You got the best situation of all, I think.
Yeah.
That's just me.
In our today's society, man, the way we're gonna see, I like to bring things out about how we can correct the ills in our community and in our families, like how we can correct the strengthening of our communities through the family. Now, I don't see no other way to really correct the behaviors of certain individuals and correct the way people view our communities. Like I was on YouTube earlier and seeing how they have one channel or this one guy, he goes through different neighborhoods showing how bad the neighborhoods look. I think he had one on Philly, one on Chicago, one on Baltimore, and this man had over 600 something thousand views on these things, and he went through all of the city of Baltimore showing the negative neighborhoods and how abandoned the buildings are and how this and how that. He did it in Chicago, Philly. So with that being said, if it's so much negativity shown, and if it's so much negativity in our cities, how can we correct it through the family? Like, it used to be when you can go down a block, you knew that household right there had a bunch of cousins and aunts and uncles or whatever, or this house had the mother and father. Like, my kids get picked on because he do have me and his mother. My boys do at times, you know, and a lot of them talk to my son about, you know, you got a cool father, man, you know, blah 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 blah, and kind of like envy him because I'm in his life, as if this is not normal. How do we bring normalcy back into the family structure? Like, how do we make it normal again to have a family? Because it's being pushed that it shouldn't be. But
I think, like you said, it's about winning. It's about every day showing forth something that everybody likes. Even if you initially have that accusation, like you said, they pick on your son because he got a mother and father. So that's the fight I'm talking about, showing it up, keeping that evident. You know, like you said, the people that go around showing all of the disruption, the chaos and so forth, you know, just like your wife said, all of the Tommy Sotomayor's that are pointing out the blank in the community and not particularly bringing forth solution, but simply attacking it like they're going to destroy, you know, that with destruction. You know, how are you going to destroy that is already, you know, destroyed with destruction? So it takes, I just simply say it's a battle of the positive and the negative.
right,
You know, and so if the negative, you know that one precept where it says, if the wife or the husband want to leave, let them leave. If it was meant, they'll come back. It's sort of like that. It's sort of like, you know, let them be. That's why I said let them be and unto themselves. So, you know, the key is to stand in your blessing. You know, to stand in your blessing, to be the light, you know, to the darkness. You know, be a light unto the darkness, you know. So if they come out of that darkness, so be it. You know, let's just hope you don't fall into the darkness, you know, or the negative, or the chaos, or run around with, you know, a camera showing all this madness. You just simply keep putting forth, you know, a light. Keep putting forth some positive, holding together what you deem to be righteous.
When we all take a look back at it, when we had,
and hold up, man. I'm not gonna say that single parents can't do as much, because go ahead and build. I gotta send the wife some money. The baby's, man, struggling. Go ahead. I'm gonna do that while we talk.
Yeah, yes, sir. I could say now, when we look at the family structure, it has been reduced down to actually little to nothing, or not even being talked about. And people seem to think that's the normal now, is to just either have the mother or have the father or have none. That's not normal, because when you look at it, it's healthy.
Like the brother said, it becomes a tendency, and that's what that government. We know Donald Trump said, "Hey, we fit to cut that out." So people getting scared. A lot of people are happy about it. A lot of people are getting scared because it had become normal to, like brother Dawkins said, you know, the welfare system have removed the father. Go look at the movies. Go read the books. So the whole, you know, and like I say, the courts are set up. Family courts are set up to get that money from what? From broken households.
Right. And that keeps keeps people depending on the government. When there's a single family household, it keeps people dependent on the government, promoting self dependence from the government is the way we should be. We shouldn't be depending on the government for anything because it's a form of control. So they're controlling the neighborhoods, they're controlling the communities through the single parent households, whether it's mother or father. It's a form of control because you ain't going to be able to do but so much. You're only going to be able to do but so much controlling when you're dealing with a dual household, because the mother and father are making the decisions on what should be done as far as the benefit of the household. But when you only have one way to see it, or one way of looking at things, which would be a mother in the household, no father, that's how it's being painted now. It's hindering the decision making of how strong that family household structure is going to be. It can only be but so strong because you don't have both inputs. When you got both inputs, it makes a stronger family because you have two people agreeing on what should be done.
Yeah, that's what I was saying is that broken families, you know, they getting hit, you know, by having to facilitate 2 or 3 households. You know, you got to take care of that instead of just one. And like I was saying, you know, most of the economy is based on these families that got businesses. Most businesses are family oriented, even if they go that way. But they're way more powerful than the government. They're way more powerful than the family, the single family. So that's the strength that you have. That's the one you need to capitalize on. You know, the fact that you have a family that could, you know, build up something, you know, that gets greater, like you say, greater than the government. Don't need a handout from the government. Don't need no food from the government. Don't need housing from the government. You know, that able to, you know, send the kids to college. You know, $200,000 kind of type of expenditures that you know it takes to run that type of household, and even more. That's the power of that. Where the families on this hand, like I said, I got to send this money out. You know, we'll never have it this way.
Right.
You understand? You know, trying to just hold together. You know, getting these kids ready for this world, and that's the challenge on top of a challenge. You know, that single parent household, me being on the outside, and I know what it's like struggling for them sisters trying to, you know, raise it up. And it's quite a thing, and you winning, man. Just know that. Know that you're winning, man.
I appreciate that.
I'm not gonna ever leave off and say that the single parent household can fight a war against the government, can fight a war against natural enemies, you know, fight a war against anybody, that single parent, that single household. Because they're not really single. The other parent is on the outside looking in.
Looking in, right.
You know,
I think the only time, I don't want to cut you off, Nehemiah, but I think the only time you can really be for a single parent household is if there was a tragedy involved. You feel me? It's like, say somebody get killed in some type of tragedy, or they was overseas and got killed in war, or got killed on the streets from violence. I think that's the only way we can be able to look at a single parent household in a different light.
Like you said, they simply don't get along. Like I said, if they want to leave, let them leave.
Well,
you know,
yeah.
They still have every financial responsibility. They still have that political. They still have all those responsibilities. But then, like I say, they start. It's way more challenging than it is not to do it. They say
of course.
To stay together.
Right. It's of course.
It's cheaper to keep it. You know? The blues song. It's truth in there.
Yeah.
Right there. It's like it's cheaper to keep it. Cause let me tell you, they say when the judge finished with you, you're gonna want to curse the whole generation.
Yeah,
you're gonna curse everybody out when the judge finished with you.
I know individuals that's paying a lot of money, and dealing with that, you know, having to put a lot of money out their pocket for the children because they're not together with the mother or this, that, and the third. And I'm not going to say that's right or wrong, because I used to be on child support in the past, and I did my years, and I put my due diligence in. I paid on time like I was supposed to, deducted out of my check, so forth. But that particular part of my life is over. You understand what I'm saying? And it's such a weight lifted off of me because there's so many restrictions put on the individual that's under child support. Now, I'm not going to say whether I agree, whether it's good or bad. I'm just glad, me personally, I'm not under that anymore. Now, when we try to move forward with our communities, we have to strengthen the individuals that are single parent raising the kids, because they're not going to be able to check and put emphasis on their babies if they're working and there's only one particular parent trying to do everything. You see what I'm saying? Because who's going to be raising outside the grandmother or the great-grandmother or uncles and cousins? They're not really going to supervise a child the way it should be because it's not theirs. They'll have a love for it because it's family, but to really, really, really raise them the way you want them to be raised is not going to always be the case. Then the actual child is going to look at them who are raising them through a certain lens. They're not going to have the 100% utmost respect in some cases towards the other people that are raising them when the mother's at work and so forth. Now, maybe outside the grandmother, they might have a certain respect for the grandmother, but when it comes to aunts and cousins and all, they're not really going to have too much respect. So you have to look at it like that. Some people don't, but that's reality. If you have both parents, at least one can watch one versus the other, and it's still that influence of the male, of the father and the mother in the household. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
That's definitely what's happening. Again, the whole thing, as I say, we got 70, 72%. I just looked up and seen that's the number.
Yeah, give me some
Well,
statistics, my man. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, and Nehemiah, do me a favor. Speak into wherever your mic is. Kind of like get it a little closer to you, or however you got it set up, so that way, so people can hear you so clearly. Because they were saying that you was low, but I only think it's just because the microphone itself wasn't closer to your mouth or wherever it is. So kind of, I want you to give those statistics, because I didn't actually have my computer to do that right yet. So give me some statistics on this right here. I like to use factual stuff.
Yeah, it's a watered down kind of thing. But the one I'm talking about, 72% of households in the black community are headed by single parents. So that's the majority.
Mm.
That's almost got to be 72%. So that's almost got to be the norm, as you say. So that's the norm, 72%. So the other side, the one that you're dealing with, is the minority.
Right.
Yeah. So you got to tilt the scale. Your team has got to tilt the scale to join the norm.
Right.
You got to get back to that 50% or better, because majority rule. So until then, you're gonna have these people that are fighting for, like the brother Elijah said, the benefits of being a single parent household.
Right. Right.
That is, the court system. Let me get my money. Like I said, I send a little money plus I send an extra. Because I know because I'm able. I'm able to do it, but I
Right.
don't, feel good about it. But it's just a reality. Like you said, it's one of them things that is so real, and you become like, how do you deal with that? I mean, I get a lot of input, but it does. Like I said, I got to deal with the man in the mirror. I got to let my conscience be my guide. And I'm like, if I got it, let me just shit it. Let me not, because I can easily get, like, hey, Key, no, like I said, how do I sustain this household and that household? It ain't gonna happen. I can't do that. I can't support two households. I can only support one.
Right.
I can barely, pay my own bills, and so, support your household, because if they're over here, they ain't getting no more than what I got. No, mama ain't got to send a card over here. That's just me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's just me, and I'm gonna trade them up in a way that it's gonna go down. But I'm like, mama is a little, she a little chump when it comes to it. She get beat up by them kids. Like I said, that's that whole women oppressed by the children and ruled by the women.
Right.
Well, you got that. You know, like you said, you got little Ray Ray out there, you know, doing his thing, and Mama can't keep up with him. She can't keep up with him. You know, and so it's part of a reality, and in my estimation, a curse.
All right. Let me
So,
get.
and again, like you said, and I'm gonna regress. Like you said, how do you deal with it all? It's simply what you're doing. That's the best way I could put it. I say the winning team has got two, I even say three and four parents in the household. So I'm quick to let them know that, you know, even other fathers that she's have had children by, they probably partial. Even the wives I've had, you know, they probably partial. I said it's a blended. We really got a really nasty situation. It could be done away, and like that brother Sanchez says, quick as the arm can heal. You know, we could put that in effect.
So let me give you some percentage. Today, now I'm reading this, and this is Population Reference Bureau. It says today nearly one fourth, 24% of the 75 million children under the age of 18 live in a single mother family household.
Is that America?
Yeah, this is in America. And it says of the 18.1 million children in a single mother family household, 9.2 million are under 9 years of age. Okay? Let me read another article. Okay. It says one of the most striking changes in the family structure over the last 20 years have been the increase in a single-parent family household. In the 1970s, the number of single families with children under the age of 18 was 3.8 million. By the 1990s, the number had more than doubled to 9.7 million. Think about that. Look at those stats, man.
That's what I said if you go back to my grandparents, it almost didn't exist. You go back to my parents, you get that first set of numbers. You come into my generation, you got that last set. And what's on the table now is even crazier.
Right, and it's crazy because that's by millions though, being in a single family household under the age of 18. So that lets you know the alarming increase in families being single family households. It's crazy. Why people don't see that as a problem or an issue. It is. If you can only see,
those percentages don't do justice, like you say, to the numbers. Yeah.
Right. I mean, well, I don't say this is like face value, but what I am is just using this as a basis. So of course it's going to be either less or more, but this is just something to go by, just to kind of give you an idea that this is not just some simple type of situation of saying that this is a issue, a real problem. And I don't understand why our families out here can't see it. Sometimes you have to pick the right mate or the right individual you want to be with in order to make sure that you're going to be with that person you're going to have children with. See, a lot of the narrative being painted now is that you can do this on your own. The first thing a single young teenager will say is, I can do it by myself. I ain't got to worry about him. He ain't got to be around. We got to change that thinking in the young adults and adults' way of thinking. It's not about whether you can do it yourself or whether you can take care of that child yourself. It's not about that. It's about, is it healthy to do it that way? Is it healthy to have children and then not worry about the other parent being there? Is that healthy for the community? Is it healthy for that individual child? And I would say it's not healthy. It's not. It's just my opinion. But people don't see it that way. The first thing they'll tell you when they get that child is, well, I can take care of him by myself. I don't need a man. I don't need a man to be there. But I beg to differ. In order for the nourishment, in order for the healthiness to be there, it should be where you have the actual both parents there. What you say about that?
Yeah, you know, as we've said it again, 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 and we keep repeating ourselves that it is it's instinctual. It's it's instinctual. It's almost like subconsciously we do those things because we can't really bag it up logically. It's subconscious, it's instinctual, and that's been embedded in us through the government. It's embedded in us through the big numbers. So again, if the majority rules, so we have, our statesmen, people that put forth laws and policies as it was put out there earlier to shore up single family homes, shore up, LGBT, shore up all of our society. Those, like you say, the benefits. That's our logic. Like you say, the benefits. Those incentive programs, rather. Those incentive programs, for lack of a better word, are enablers, if you would.
Right.
Because if you say you're an alpha, say, man, we got this. That part right there is where I say it's organic. You really got to just love, change me, love what you're doing, which is, eat, drink, and be merry. If you could continue to do that, I think all will be well. And know that, and that's just me. That's just me. Like I said, it's a natural, thing that you have in a very unnatural environment. Hold to your gun. Keep putting those conversations out to show the light,
right,
of what's happening in your life. Not like you say to drive around showing how bad their neighborhood is, ride around showing how bad, it is. But let's not do that.
Right.
I wouldn't advise you to go into that. I would advise you to dig into that food, clothing, shelter narrative. The fact how you feed your family, how you enjoy your family, and let that be your legacy. And know that you ain't by yourself. Cause like you said, it seems like you're losing the war. Cause brother said, ain't nobody but me. He said, man, I got 7,000. They never about to pay hell. And that throws people off. But know that, that is kind of the way I look at it. That, you blessed, man. You blessed, and I wouldn't wish my worst enemy to be on this side that I'm on with. You look above me, you got this 2 women with 2 children, individual children, and you're on the side. We all smiling, but not really.
Right, I know what you mean. No, I feel you on that. I feel you.
Smiling, but not really.
Look,
but
Queen C, check this out, Nehemiah. Queen C says, she says back in the day when black children, she says back in the day the Cosby Show was an influence, and it sent a lot of black children wanting to go to college and things like that. Why do you think they took a lot of the positive black shows that they had and kind of like took that away and replaced it with a lot of reality TV and a lot of reality garbage and ratchetness? Like we said, and it's not really repeating, but it's showing another light of why they're trying to divide the black families up with these different things they took away and now they brought back in, but it's totally against positive role models in the families. Because the Cosby Show, I used to sit down when I was younger, when it first was being aired, I would sit down like that was the best thing going and watch the Cosby Shows and laugh about it, and laugh at the different scenarios and situations. That's all I seen being in a single parent household. That's what I seen as the positive family structure. I have no other way of looking at it, because some of the friends I was with outside the military folks, they didn't have mothers and fathers. It was either the mother there, and that's all of the things I had to see. Now, a lot more, I was like on a military base at times, and it was half and half. Some guys had their mothers and fathers, some didn't. But I happened to be the one that didn't. So yeah, looking at the Cosby shows was a big influence of how a family structure could be or should be. It didn't make me want to go to college, but at least I did get to see black male and black female together with kids.
Yeah, a lot of people, I'm not sure if that's the era that the actors within that show were simply growing up and they just got old. And it was hard for them to keep it going, but certainly it had its place in a lot of instances. It didn't, even like you said, if that was the 90s, is Cosby the 90s?
Yeah, Cosby's is in the 90s. The
Yeah, so
early
that's
80s, the middle 80s to 90s.
Like you said, that's that era where it doubled. The households, became largely single family. So it really took off then. It was more a representation, single parent household. So it was definitely a change in time. And most of our art, depict our time.
Right.
So, like you said, what was the underlying causes? Everybody can go there. The information is out there. And most of that stuff in hindsight, we definitely got enough information to make an assessment. But keeping it right now, like I said, those 72 and whatever numbers you just read off, it is a crisis. It is a crisis. And it seems like you're losing. So we need, yes, ma'am. Where?
I
don't know, Ernie.
You can go ahead and mute your mic. I'll go ahead and take over. Mute your mic and I got you. But
man, I'll get back at you.
Yeah. So okay. Mute your mic. One thing that I see, y'all. Hold on, real quick, y'all. Nehemiah to mute his mic. Let me do something real quick. But one thing I realized, people, is that, let me see something here. All right, check it out. One thing I realized when we start to run into these issues with our families and run into the issues about how the family structure is made and built, if we don't face the reality, this is what I got to bring up. People hate to face the reality of how it really is. That's I don't know why that's so hard for us to grab where we are in the society and how it really is. Let's stop pushing it aside as if this is not the actual factual truth. What we see now and how we see today's society and how things are, it's the actual truth. It's no need to close a blind eye and a deaf ear to how our communities are, to how, things are being depicted. We need to stay right on course and bring light to these issues, bring it to the forefront so we can correct the damage that has been done and created. We're creating monsters out there on these streets because they're not getting a healthy balance of the family structure. If you want to talk about monsters being created and how children are disrespectful, they don't have any strong role models, meaning mother and father, to follow after. So of course they're gonna disrespect you when they're out there in the street corner or when they're out there in the store and you come in there. Why would you think they want to respect you when you ain't even sane enough or even smart enough or even have the fortitude to want to keep the families together? Some people break up over minute issues. You feel what I'm saying? Some people let petty differences just split them up, and that's why they don't have the mother and father there. You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, well, since we've been together 5 years, how can we seek some counseling to see how we can keep our relationship together and move forward? See, people don't think like that nowadays. It's like, oh, well, I'll replace you with another dude or another female. And it's not really that easy to do that. It's easy in the aspect of going to sleep with another person. Of course you can do that. But it's hard for an individual to admit where they might be wrong at, or it might be hard for people to reconcile But they don't want to do that. They'd rather be alone, or they'd rather say, well, I'll move on to the next dude or the next female, instead of saying, let's go get counseling to see how we can keep our family together. Or how about this? When the guys go get papers on their dogs rather than getting papers on the female. Come on, y'all don't like to hear that kind of stuff. They'll go get papers on their pit bull before they go get papers on their wife or their girlfriend. How about that? How about they'll go run quickly to get papers on that canine, that female, rather than saying, you know what, I've been with you for 10 years, shorty, I want to get some papers on you. How about let's get married? Let's go put a ring on. See, today's society, they're so backwards, they don't think like that. They think that, okay, I've been with you for 10 years, then we already looked at it as being married. No, how about the benefits in being married and how the government sees you as a married couple or a married individual? There's more perks in being married than non-married. There's more incentives as far as when you go to do taxes, you get tax breaks by being married, or different little tax things by being married than being non-married. But people don't want to talk about that. They scurry away from that. Because when you begin to bring that up, then that means people got to admit their wrongs or rights in the situation. And then that's too much to do. That's too much. Pride jumps in then. They'd rather be alone than rather admit they was wrong or spoke some kind of way or offended you or haven't paid you some attention for weeks to come or have not tried to give you the right amount of attention you need as a female or as a male. See, all of that plays a part in the family structure. And that's where we go wrong at. We need to seek counseling if it's worth it. Now, if you've been with a person for 5 or 6 years, obviously you was with them for a reason, one reason or another. So pick out what you need to work on in your relationship so you can continue to build a strong family structure. Now you got thoughts out there. You got females that try to break up families and strong families. You got all of that you got to fight against. So why not reinsure each other and build on the defenses you need to defend your family with? You need to defend your family with against those thoughts and against those home wreckers and brothers that trying to split the families up. You need to work together to fight against that. Reassure each other that, nah, I ain't going nowhere, and I hope you ain't going nowhere, and we ain't going to involve nobody in these relationships. Let's get married and build a family. But who am I to talk? Some people believe they can do it on their own and they don't need all of that. But if I'm going to speak any truth, I need to speak about the goods and the bad, because that is a real dynamic that's out there. And people hate to see you doing good. They hate to see you married and flourishing. They hate to see you prospering. There is a whole group of people out there that hate to see you doing the best that you should be doing. So they rather condemn you or rather try to sleep with your companion to break you up or to cause havoc in your relationship. And people are scared of marriage. Yeah, they are. They're scared to commit. It's not that they're scared of marriage. It's a commitment issue that they have. And 9 times out of 10, people that say they're scared of marriage, they have an issue committing in every single thing in their life. I found that to be true. Just my point of view. Don't hate on Ace. But I'm just saying, anytime I found somebody scared to commit to marriage, it's also been shown that it's a commitment issue. They can't commit to just about everything they got going in their life. There's a lot of inconsistencies. Because when you're committing to marriage, it's not just saying you're committing to one individual, right? But everything that comes along with that individual, you're committing to. You're committing to waking up to them the way they are. You're committing to whether they can cook or not. You're committing to whether, you agree with some of the things they think about versus yours. It's all dealing with commitment. And that's why the family structure is the way it is in our communities today. People don't want to commit to having healthy relationships, healthy families. They rather go with the narrative that's being painted by the government, painted by agents, painted by people who don't want to see you happy and flourish as a nation, as a race, as individuals. And I'm not saying black people are the only people that go through this. It's white, Chinese. Well, I don't know. It just depends on what culture you're in. But white and black, they deal with the same thing when it comes to the family structure. But I think when the agenda comes up as far as why are people trying to stop us from flourishing then that's when you could probably bring up one particular race. Am I right or wrong, Nehemiah? Or do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, you said a mouthful. They are natural enemies, to that positivity. It's a negative energy. It's a negative thing. So, like you said, as long as you're taking your inventory, like you say, to reassure yourself why you're in that relationship on a regular, you make those affirmations with you and your wife, and know that there are natural enemies out there, and that we, even your own self, even within yourself, like you said, you have to really be careful about that. How we are drawn away of our own lusts.
Right.
How we don't really have it together, like you say, within the house. You're right, man. Yeah. So I don't know if you got some people that are in the chat room that have expressed as much. If they want to call in, if you want to build some more, but I think it's a great one for the.
All right, no doubt. I'm a.
And like I say, for you to get that lesson learned, to review your work, and push forth a whole series on that, man.
All right, I'm gonna put it in the chat now. One more time. All right, if you want to call in, I'll give y'all the opportunity to call in real quick before we start heading in the direction of shutting it down. I'm gonna put it in the chat room, and also as well, I will shout it out. Okay, the number to call in is 443-376-8842. Again, if you want to call in to give your input before we start heading in another direction to shut down, the number is 443-376-8842. And I think now that we're coming to the realization about how our lives are being lived and how our communities are being looked at, we have to do better, man. We have to do better out here on these streets. We have to learn how to pull together as a community to strengthen. Don't just start grabbing any and everything. Look at who you are companioning with and who you are trying to hold a relationship with. Look at who the individuals are that you are courting with. And that's an old word, back in the day word, courting or courting. Look at how you do that and who you do it with. And I think that'll very well help get us back on track to building strong families. It should be something to be proud of, to be in a committed relationship with a husband, wife, family structure. It should be something to be proud of. Don't look down on it as if that's supposed to be something that's a bad thing. You should be proud to have a strong woman or man in your corner. All right, cool.
Awesome.
All right, caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Darkness again.
All right, you gotta speak up a little louder in your phone so we can definitely get every word you're saying. All right.
Okay. This is the Darkness again.
All right.
And I could say that I was married for 9.5 years. And I can tell you that if you ever want to be married or anything, it's a lifetime. Matter of fact, I put it in the chat, but to go more on that we have to want to do it. We have to want to love each other. And we just cannot, with every little thing that is happening and said, we have to leave. If you really love that person, if you want to preserve the family, yeah, you have to work at it. And a lot of us just want short term instead of long terms.
Right.
And so that's why our community is really suffering. And so that means the black man and the black woman, we have to understand, like the brother in my said, it's a crisis. And we have to understand that there are negativity out here, even some other people. We cannot listen to them. That is cool to be married. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I can talk like that because, like I said, I was married for 9.5 years. It didn't work out, but I can say it like this, that it's work if you want to work it out. Things do happen, but at the same time, You know, if the right woman comes, you know, I would love to be. I enjoy the bill.
No doubt, man. I appreciate the call and the support. You know what I mean? That's a blessing right there. Nehemiah's gone, so I'm just gonna continue for a few more seconds and then I'll end. But I did want to say, somebody in the chat, Megalodon, wanted me to elaborate on courting and courtship. Courting is the process. It's like, okay, you with the girl, you know, y'all hanging out, y'all might be sleeping together, or y'all chilling, or whatever the case is. That's what courting is. It's the process of being in a relationship, or the process of about to entering into a relationship. You feel me? That's what it really means. And a lot of times, that particular process is not really done too much in today's society. They skip past all of that and go right into the sexual act of it. And then when it doesn't work out in that process, then they keep it moving. And I think that kind of hurts a lot of what could potentially be decent relationships, is they do not give themselves the time to figure out if it's going to work or not in the courting process. That's what happens a lot of the times. They go right to the sexual act, and then, okay, depending on how good or bad it is, or whatever the case is, that depends on whether you're going to be with them. So I think they base it off of that particular aspect of it. You feel me? They base it off of that, which is not a foundation. See, our family structures today don't have a lot of foundations. Our family structures don't have the foundation that it once used to have. You know, it used to be when the father used to come home, throw his boots to the side, and he jumps on his one particular lounge chair, you know, and relax. Then you got the kids running there, daddy, daddy, daddy. You got the mother coming in, hey, how you doing? Giving the kiss. And, you know, I'm in there cooking. You want something to eat an hour later. It used to be where that was a dynamic. At one time, it was publicized of healthiness. But now you don't have that. You know what I'm saying? It's not reality anymore. It's so far out of our reach to see the husband come home and the mother and father in there together, you know, building and cooking. I remember back in the days in my earlier part of my marriages when I used to be in the kitchen and my wife would be cooking, or I'd be cooking. I'd be dancing beside her and dancing behind her while she at the stove. You know, I used to come in there with a little gray tape on my slippers, trying to hold my slippers together. And you know what I'm saying? Have my son in his walker running around and stuff like that. I remember those days when I was first married and how beautiful it was. And it got even better as years went by. I remember that. You know what I'm saying? I remember watching my little son throw everything in the toilet bowl. He used to throw tissue, toys, and all kind of stuff and clog my toilets up. You understand? That was my oldest boy. And then my middle boy, I remember how he used to like to sing when we be in the car riding, taking our family vacations. You feel me? How he used to go and sing in the car. I remember each little thing about my children and what they used to do at what time. That, for me as a father and as a husband, that's awesome. That's awesome that I can remember those things. I'm a part of their growing up. I'm a part of the history of them. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's a beautiful thing to say that I'm a part of their upbringing and their growing up. You know, on the other hand, my daughter, when me and my daughter was together, I might not have had my daughter there, and I tried to the best of my ability bring a stronger relationship between me and my daughter. But, you know, in the inside of it, you know, now that my daughter's older, I'm still a major part of how she is. Look over there. I'm still a major part of how she is in her upbringing as a young adult or an adult with her own child. Bring that down. So I'm getting ready to I was about to end, but let me get Queen C in here real quick. And I want her to give some input real quick about this. Make some room for the lovely Queen C. All right. Watch your little step here. To call?
No, he called me.
He want to come on?
Yeah, he said he coming back though. He can go back up there.
Oh, okay.
The fan gonna be blowing my hair everywhere.
All right. So, peace, everyone. Got Queen C in the building. Peace, peace, peace.
Hello, everybody. I've been watching the whole broadcast. I just wanted to say a little bit about what you were just talking about as far as marriage. I don't think everyone that isn't married has commitment issues. I think some people that don't believe in the Bible, and some people that don't go by the principles we do. I think they have a different outlook on marriage. Um, some people's outlook on marriage is different from ours, and not to say that it's wrong. Um, I think that some people don't like to get the government involved in certain aspects of their lives, meaning child support, meaning marriage, because marriage is a contract. And it's really not as simple as just loving someone, because you can be um, committed. You can be all the way committed to your mate without going downtown to get a piece of paper to say that you guys are committed to one another. Now, the reason why I say it's a contract is because so many people get caught up in the love and the fairy tale, and then when it doesn't work out, they're stuck with the debt of the person. Like, everything is connected. Your debt is now their debt, and I put that in the chat a little while ago, because it's very important for people to understand. It's not just simple. It's not just, oh, I love this person. It's a really hard decision for some people to make. And if you have debt out there, you have bad credit, all of that type of stuff, that stuff affects your partner.
Right.
You know, it affects them. And it's just the same as if you have millions of dollars.
Right.
If you're a millionaire, okay, you entering into a contract with that person, you better make sure they have their own, because their finances, that person that doesn't have all the money, may have bad credit, they're gonna bring you down also. You know, so you have to look at it that way also, and then you know, you can get into a prenuptial agreement, you know, and those types of things, you know. So it's more to it than just love. Like, I believe that people can actually love a person. They have common law marriage here in Maryland. So you can actually love your partner and really, really, really be down for them and plan on being with them forever without society and government's view on marriage. But what I will say is, me personally, I really believe that marriage was the right thing for me. It may not be the right thing for you. You know, we don't force any of our beliefs on anyone. We just come from, you know, our personal preferences and our personal experiences. And I'm sitting so uncomfortably. Okay, so I just wanted to say that point. I can't really see what's going on in the chat, but it's definitely something that everybody has their own choice to make. And I believe that marriage is important to some and is not so important to others. For me, I really believe that it was a step that I wanted to take, and I did it very, very young, and I got married right out of high school, and I am telling my age. I'll be 35, and I got married as a teenager, you know, and I really don't regret getting married. Some people have different opinions about it, and that's fine, and not saying that it's wrong. I think everybody should go for what's best for you and best for your household. And I think our children are most important. And we should think about our children in every aspect. If you make that decision, it's no longer about you. It's no longer about your mate. It's about that child that you guys created. And I think that's the main focus. So if you're not going to be committed on paper or through the government, and you're just committed between you and your partner, that's fine. But make sure that child or those children are your number one priority. That's when I have a problem with what our people do. Because if your children is no longer your priority and all you're worried about is how you're feeling at the moment and you're ready to walk away, then you shouldn't have made that decision to involve children, because they don't care about that. They don't care if you don't like the person that you're with the next day. Right after impregnating that person, your whole mindset changed and you don't want to be with that person anymore. You know, that's something that you're going to have to swallow, and you're going to have to be that parent and live up to that choice and that decision that you made to bring a child into the situation. So when I hear so many people talk about different situations that they're in as far as single moms, I can only relate on the fact that I was raised by a single mother. And, you know, thank God that my husband has been there since day one, from, you know, before my kids were born into now. And I'm blessed in that area. And I love to talk to my family members and my friends that are single moms, because I'm a nurturer. I'm always encouraging people, and I don't ever want people to feel like I'm in a better place than them, or like I'm better than them. I have a big heart, and it reaches so many different people, and I want them to know that if you're a single mom, it does not make you any less than any other person out here that may be raising their children with a father in the household. It doesn't make you any less. You have to give more of your time, more of your love, more of everything to that one child. But I do hold both parents responsible for the decisions that they make as they go on to raise their children. And it starts way before the child is born. And that's the thing. Like, I hear their stories, and they come from many different walks of life, you know. And I hear the stories, and some of them are very heartbreaking. Some of them will really, you know, make you want to be like, you know what? If you was to go off the deep end, I wouldn't even blame you, because the children are the ones that's suffering, you know. But I try to encourage them and let them know, like, you can find somebody, you know, out there that is willing to step up to the plate. If you find someone out there that's willing to step up to the plate and help you with your children, a male figure, somebody, you know, that loves you, is going to love your child the same way. I mean, not exactly the same way, because, you know, step parents are good, you know, in their in their places, but they cannot take the place of that natural parent. But they do have love, and they are able to love your child the way, you know, that you would want your child to be loved. And I think that is possible. I have a step parent, and I have my natural father. And I can only speak to them on the fact that I was raised by a single mom. But I was raised by a single mom, but my father was in my life after he left the home. And not to get too deep into that, but I experienced some things, and it was actually better in my case for my father not to be in the home. And sometimes it's that way. Sometimes it's better if the household is too toxic, and those people that are in, if those children are in an environment where those people are better apart, you know what I'm saying, then I think that they should split and give the child or the children a chance to have some kind of peace and normalcy, just to have a peace of mind. You know what I'm saying? So and at some point in time, as long as a parent can give that child the peace and the love and the normalcy of, being loved and not having to be in dysfunction, then, single parent homes aren't always bad, but we want to strive as hard as we can to keep families together, and I say if the person is not beating your brains out, work it out. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. I feel like if the person is not, abusing you physically and mentally, is not abusive to you, then I think that you should be able to work it out. Little differences, we don't have anything in common anymore. You don't cook, you don't clean, different things like that. That's crazy. You're going to break up your home because the person doesn't clean well. You're going to break up your home because you had a bad day at work, or you seen a girl at your job and she said everything you wanted to hear, or the guy at your job said everything that you wanted to hear. So now it's looking greener. The grass is looking greener on the other side, and now you want to go, and you forgot about little Billy, and you forgot about little JoJo, and you forgot about, little Sue and little Tiffany. You forgot all about your children that run up to you and look up to you. Those are the type of things that I say, that's crazy. Don't break up your family because the grass looks greener on the other side. Now, if you have made that commitment, whether it's in marriage or whether it's just between you two, and you vowed to be together amongst yourselves, do not let just any and every little thing tear your family apart, because it's about your seed that you brought into the world. And it's a reflection of you. Your children are a product of you. My children are a product of me. And it's evident in the things that they do, how they speak, how they act, how they receive our correction. I can tell you what they're going to pretty much say and how they're going to react to it, because I made them. We made them. One acts like him, one acts like me, the other one acts like both of us. That's just facts. And now adopted son has adopted some of our ways and our mannerisms. So I think our children should be the most important factor. It's too many selfish people walking around here. It's too many selfishness, too many selfish people, and not enough about our children. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. So when I hear different stories, some of those things, I just shake my head, because I say, okay, you knew that this brother was connected to someone else. So how do you expect him to be a father 100% when he's not 100% of a man where he is already before you met him? Okay? He is not 100% to the person that he's already with. So how is he going to be 100% to you and your unborn child? That's just the kind of stuff that I don't agree with. And then the child suffers. Then the child suffers. You have men out here that really does not have the intentions on making babies, but their actions say, I'm going to make a baby tonight. But their mind isn't saying that. And then later on, the baby is here. And then they say, oh, you trapped me. Oh, I didn't want a baby. But your action said that you did, and her action said that she did. So now the baby is here, and she wants the baby because she wants to keep you, and you don't want the baby because you had other plans. So that's the kind of stuff that has our children out here in the street, seeking the street, for guidance and love and acceptance. You know, when they feel like they're not even wanted, you don't even have to say it. It's just your actions showing that, you know, they wasn't supposed to be here, that they were accidental. And some people, and I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, some people actually say some of the cruelest things to their children. And I think the reason why Maury, Jerry Springer, Paternity Court, and all of these shows are so popular these days is because everything is, they want to make everything seem like this is the norm. This is how it is. And it's not just blacks, okay? So let me make that clear real quick, because I watch a show called Teen Mom and Teen Mom 2, and I haven't seen any black people on that show. And they started off on Pregnant at 16. Sweet 16 or Pregnant at 16. That was the show. And then it spent off into Teen Mom and Teen Mom 2. And it's not black people on there. It's Caucasian people on that show that I watch. So they deal with it. So this is the world that we're living in. It's not just the black community. So this is the world that we're living in right now. So we see this, and children are being affected in so many different ways. And I do believe that our African American children, they process things differently, you know, and that's just the way I see it, you know, because I am, you know, speaking from experience when I say that. I know the difference. Sometimes they can process things totally different, and a Caucasian child can process something totally different, and it could be the same situation, and they process it differently. But it's still a problem in the world. This is a world problem, as is racism is a world problem. This is something that's being dealt with worldwide. Now, some other countries, I'm not sure about the other countries, how they, you know, when they have children, they have multiple children. One woman might have 15 children. I don't know if she has they have the same father, or if she has 15 different baby fathers. I don't know. But I'm just tired of our community always wanting to be a baby mother or a baby father. Why do you set out for that? Why is that your goal? Why is that your goal, to set out to be somebody's baby mother?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, set out to be somebody's baby father. Like, you know, that's just my baby mother. Baby mama drama and all these different, you know, things that they have out here now. You know, and it's very hard to find men out here that does not have a line of children already lined up.
Right.
You know, and it's hard for men to find women that doesn't have kids lined up already, a ready-made family. But I will say there are people that I know, like family members of mine, that are well in their 20s, late 20s, and early 30s that have no children. You know,
Possible.
oh yeah, it's possible. I can name them, but they don't want their name on YouTube. But it's something to be proud of, I think. It's something to be proud of. It's something to be proud of if you can stand your ground and you can say, I'm going to have relations with this person because I choose to, but I'm not going to bring a child into this world until I know that this is the person that I want to be with. That I can deal with this person for the next 18 years. That we can raise this child together. And then you have to think about that person's mental state.
Right.
Because we was talking about earlier about them when I called in about the color. About wanting them to look a certain way.
Right.
But what about the mental?
Yeah, I would think you would need to be mental stable in order for no, that's good. I would think you need to be mental stable to hold any decent, normal functioning relationship. How can you form in a normal relationship if the other individual does not have a normal thought pattern? You will always have a clash in the two individuals. Always be a clash there. You know, if you thinking sane and he thinking unsane, you thinking rational, he thinking unrational, it's always going to be a clash there. And unless you think, unless you know, and I don't know if this was hit on, but unless you know you're mentally ready to be in a marriage, then I advise not to. But when we're talking about you already in a relationship without the marriage title or the papers, to head towards positive building and building the community to be stronger, why not get married so that your children can see it healthy as seeing it as a negative thing? You see what I'm saying? Why does it have to have a negative spin on it when it comes to healthy marriages and, you know, looking at it from a healthy standpoint?
And then you gotta think about when you talk about mental, like it's also health issues. You know, if it's a string of diabetes or a string of cancer or something that illness that runs in that person's family, you will want to know that person well enough to know if you're going to have a sick child, you know, or if you're going to have a child with some kind of disability that can be passed down through generations, you know. So those are the things that people do not think about when they're in a relationship. They don't know the man or the woman well enough to know their family history.
Right.
You know, they don't know that, you know, it's certain genes within that family that runs, and that child may be born with some kind of birth defect. So, you know, it's important. You know, I didn't do that much research. I'm going to be real, okay? I was very young when we had our first child, okay? And I didn't know his whole family tree, so I'm going to keep it real. And I was just blessed, okay? I was blessed that I didn't have any deformities or anything in the bloodline, and he didn't either. So that was just a blessing in itself, you know. And so, you know, they just happened to be perfect. You know, they happened to be healthy children. I didn't care about color. At that time, I didn't care about anything. In the past, I used to have those images and those, you know, misconceptions about skin color. But, you know, I said all of that went away before I met my husband, and definitely after. And once we had our children, they were born perfect, and it didn't matter if they were light skinned, if they were dark skinned. You know, even if they had a disability, we would love them the very same. We were just blessed not to have those difficulties in raising them. You know.
We do have our adopted son.
Well, our adopted son, yeah.
Well, our adopted son has issues.
Yeah.
See, and a lot of people don't understand what me and my family deal with.
Oh, well, we deal with a lot.
They
with
don't
him.
understand. See, people look at it from an outside point of view. But I have a son that has special needs. My adopted son has special needs. And a lot of times what me and the mental stress that me and my wife deal with on a day-to-day basis with him, you can't even imagine the type of stress we go through with just one child that's not ours.
Right.
But we love him and we adopted him, gave him our last name, because we want to see him grow, prosper, and become something great in this life.
Right.
But we get persecuted on so many different levels because of the differences in between him and our family.
Yeah.
But we still strive. We still try to do the best we can. And we still try to hold tight to what we believe in humanity. Like, you know, he's Caucasian.
Yeah. He's white, y'all.
He's white in a black family.
Some people disagree with us having him, but not my family. Our family loves him, you know, and everything that we go through, we know our reasoning behind it, you know. So we really don't care about the scrutiny and the backlash that we may get from it. We just have pure, genuine love for children and people in general, and we just want to be able to help him, you know, and he was born in an unfortunate situation, and it was not his fault. And he suffers tremendously to this day from the trauma and the abuse and the neglect and everything that he suffered from. So we deal with that on an everyday basis, and that's why I know it's so important for people to really be careful who they have children by.
We got him when he was 3.5 years old, and when we got him, he was being locked in the closets. He was being, burnt. It was so many different things that he had to go through at 3 years old, 3.5 years old, and now all of the trauma stuff is coming into play now that he's in an older age.
Yeah.
But we still persevere. We still press forward. We still try to do the best we can to get him the medical attention and medical needs met.
Yeah.
And I applaud my wife for having the patience to deal with another child that she did not birth. That shows character. That shows what's in the individual. See, we really, when we say we're about building families, we ain't talking this just to say it. We talk real stuff because we're doing it. We accepted another child into our household that's not ours, and we're taking care of him. And this is many, many, many years later now that we're still dealing with persecution. We're still dealing with his mental issues, and we're moving forward. We're not complaining. We do what we got to do. Because we think about the human being in the heart of the individual.
Right.
Not that he's a different color,
right.
green, yellow, blue, or not that. No, we thinking about, would God be pleased if we did this? Will God be pleased for helping another individual that was in need at that particular time? That's what we look at. And I think my life has been blessed by having that kind of heart, by reaching out, by doing what I can, black, white, green, or yellow. We just want to do right in helping some other person. See, that's when we talk about these things, we mean what we say. We don't talk about it just to bring topics up. We talk about it because we're living the very thing we talk about. We're living this. Yep. And he gets picked on because of his different colors. Being in a somewhat hoodish neighborhood or what have you. We don't have the worst neighborhood, but it ain't the greatest. Mm-hmm. We're in between. But he gets picked on because of his nationality. And we have to show him and teach him how to cope with that while also trying to maintain his mental state and also do well in school. So we got so much on our plate, even with our 3 other boys that we deal with, that have to deal with some of his issues and not understanding why he acts the way he acts or do what he do. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times, people so quick to judge and so quick to speak before they actually see another person's issues or see what another person has to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
And sometimes when it got hard, we was like, man, I don't know if we can do this.
The right decision,
we did the right decision.
Right.
But then when we look at the bigger and the broader perspective of things, we got to say to ourselves, is God pleased with that? Right. Would God be happy that we did or made this choice? And every time we look at it, we see that God is pleased with what we did. Because not only because of the blessings, but because of how he makes us feel on the inside. You see what I'm saying? The connection that we have, it lets me know we did the right thing. So we persevere, we keep moving, and I'm glad that people can see my family, not just in the neighborhoods, but even on YouTube, we can express what we're going through as families and how we are dealing with these type of issues. Because I don't know who's watching that might have adopted kids or might have kids that might be in their life connected to them, that they have to deal with these stresses.
It's so much to it that I'm going to be writing a book, and I'm not going to say what it's about. It's still working, but I'm going to write a book because there's so much to our life, and I believe that it can be a #1 seller.
Right.
Because people have no idea, the everyday struggles, of adoption. You know, I hear a lot of success stories, and I say, "Woo! That's if we had just a half of that." You know, but we have a beautiful son. You know, he's a good kid. He is just unfortunate that he had to go through those things. But like I say, it's not his fault, and we try to look past that, and we try to go deeper and deeper past the surface things, and it is like way more than we can handle. So we do have outside help to help with him, because and sometimes I believe that those therapists and things, they don't know what they're really talking about, and they don't know, you know, half of um you know, they don't know half of, because they don't live with a child like that. So they sometimes experience is better than book knowledge, you know, because you just reading everything, but you know, you don't know what you're gonna face really until you're in that situation. So sometimes reading it in a book or just hearing someone else speak about it is not enough. Like, you have to actually be in that person's shoes and live it to know what it's really like. So I would love to write about our experiences. And I'm going to do it, and I'm going to start it now. And I don't know how long it's going to take, but I wanted him to be a little older when it comes out, because I want his understanding to be a little more developed and a little more clear, because I don't want him to ever feel like he's not wanted or not loved, because it's the reality, because it's going to be real. It's going to be real. It's not going to be painted into this little cute picture. It's going to be real, and it's going to be raw, and I want him to have a little more of an understanding. He's a teenager, so he's not a baby, but he does have an intellectual disability. So he has, you know, he's thinking on a younger level. So it's going to take like some breaking it down to him for him to really understand it. And he can read, and he's doing better in school, and you know, he's progressed, and he has reached a lot of his goals that we set for him and that the school set for him. So he is, you know, in that transition of trying to find himself. A teenager, get a little mustache, you know. He got a little mustache now. He liking girls now. You know what I'm saying? So his body is changing. He's going through a lot of different things right now, you know. So when I talk about him, sometimes it makes me cry when I think about what he had to go through. So if y'all see me tear up a little bit, it's because that's a touchy subject. Right. That's a touchy topic. And I get emotional, and I get hurt by when I see the racism out here, and when I talk about it, it's coming from a genuine place, because we don't see color, and color should not be an issue. And I know it's a lot of division, and I know it's the white man did this and this person did that. And you know, I'm somewhat of conscious enough to know our background, okay? And I will say that, and I'm not denying some of the things that have happened, and I'm not denying all of the racism and stuff. And then the slavery is very real, and the slavery mentality is very real, you know, and all of those things are very true. But I cannot change the fact that I am a loving person with a big heart, and I just happen to see the person and the individual for who they are. I don't classify people as a whole and as a bunch. I classify a person as an individual, and if that individual has done anything to me to show that they're racist, then I'll deal with that individual. But I don't deal with people as a whole, okay? Because every white person has not done me wrong. Every black person has not done me wrong. Every a Chinese person does not own a nail salon. And there's so many different stereotypes in every different race, you know. So I'm just a person that loves people for who they are. And if I see character flaws in you, you probably see some in me. And if I see character flaws in the next person, if you're looking for it, you're going to find it. That's just what it is.
I think when talking about single parents in a household versus two parents in a household, we we are that example in our community. When we walk out to go to church or we walk out to go somewhere as a family, people see all my boys moving as a unit. You know what I'm saying?
They looking
You
like,
know, they
but
looking.
they used some of them used to it. Right
You know,
now.
they know my family. You know, they see the salt and pepper. They see the sprinkle of Eric in there, and they see my other three boys running to the car, running to the truck, or whatever have you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and they out there playing on their skateboards outside, and they know my boys. Like my neighbors and community know my kids,
Yeah.
and they know me and my wife as well. So they see family structure, and I'm gonna do something, coming up about that. How it's important for people to see that. You know, I had a lot of people big me up and talk about how they love to see me with my boys and my wife and going out. I have plenty of people coming down my neighborhood. Some of my neighbors, they express how much they love to see that, and we just try to live the example. We ain't perfect, but we do
Nah.
try to show that it's possible. And
Yeah.
being that we have Eric in our family, it goes to show the compassion that we have and the kind of heart that we have. You know?
You say my baby name on air.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, that not nothing. I didn't want to say anything.
But as we move along, we're gonna end this in a minute.
Yeah.
We're thankful that God put us in this position, or that we're in this position to be in. We're very thankful. And we're very thankful that, we can still cope with life and still not be aggressive or not be bitter about life, but be appreciative about life in whatever circumstances we're in, good, bad, negative, good, whatever. We appreciate the life we're living, and it brings new challenges every single day. We just pray and hope that the single parent households can actually learn how to form family structures and be strengthened through that action. What we do for fun. Nehemiah wants to ask, what do the Ace family do for fun? Well,
It's a lot. Well, the boys he liked to take them paintball.
paintballing.
Yeah, the paintballing.
I like that. We got the gear. We all got all our gear and different guns and stuff. So we do a lot of paintballing.
Yeah, I like to go to the movies, and I love to eat seafood. That's my number one thing. If I ever get time to go out, I want to go to Pappas. Shout out to Pappas. Have the best Merlin crab cakes. Period, point blank, hands down.
Also, as a family, we take our vacations. We go to New York, North Carolina. We go
Yeah.
to Virginia. We go different places. I think that's healthy to do things as a family and have fun. It's very healthy to do that. So we'll be bringing some more adventurous things that we do as a family, and I'll be uploading and posting some of these things. Like I say again, and you might hear me say it often, and maybe Logic might talk about it also, having a balance.
Yeah.
It's good to do different things and have a balance in the family structure. Very positive, very good for the healthiness of the family.
Yeah.
I play video games with my boys, play basketball with them. We go do things. I stay active to a certain degree so that they can have some memories to fall back on. Children shouldn't have all negative memories, even in a negative environment. They should be able to have a balance of positive and negative,
Yeah.
which is going to be truthful. If you're living in a negative environment and have no positive, it's going to be negativity in your heart at a certain degree.
Yeah.
So why not show positive and negative, okay? Not negative on our behalf, but there is
Right,
negative out there in the community. And if they're going to see it, at least balance it out with positive.
Right.
So that it's not so much being put in their psyche or in their mind that it's going to cause them to react in negative response to everything.
Right.
What you think about that before we get out of here?
That's true. I agree. I do. That's fine. That's
I
great.
do.
I do.
I do.
Yes.
But
She said, who's this? The Darkness Awakens said, I'm allergic to seafood, but our family check out my channel. I do cook and I show how to read labels. Very important. I do have some cooking on my channel. Oh, yeah.
all right, I'm gonna write it down right now. And I'm gonna go to your channel.
Absolutely. I love cooking. That is one thing that later on I might try to do, cause I love cooking. So
We'll go to your channel and we'll do so, bro. Love to support
yeah, I want to check it out.
and love to be a part. Definitely. And don't forget to go to Nehemiah's channel.
Thank you, Nehemiah. I appreciate that.
He says
YouTube
you
family approves. Thank you, sir.
That's what's up, Nehemiah. My objective in Go Nehemiah is to stay the course, try to not only teach but bring reality to a self reality or a disconnection from reality situation. That's all I want to do. You know, black love does exist, and thank you, bro. It does.
Thank you.
So that's what I want to do. I want to try to continue to bring awareness to how we can function and act as a family, as a whole, as a community. It's very important that we keep this before the people out there. I might not get much love on YouTube, but let me tell you something. We do got people who are striving to do their best and trying to put light on what the community does.
Thank y'all,
especially in our black communities. Not exclude
in.
nobody else, but right now I believe it's a dire need for people to see that black lives exist and we can function as a whole. That's what needs to be publicized. And I'm sorry that when it comes to this type of positive stuff, you don't get much love. It's just the reality of it.
Right.
Now, we was two family members. If we was wife and husband and beefing and fighting and stuff, we'd probably have 1,000 people lined up. But the simple fact that we're trying to bring light on negative situations, it's scattered or it's not existing. So I'm just striving to do my best to put in my part. Can't nobody say that there is nobody doing it, because we are. You feel what I'm saying? We are doing our best to promote positivity in our community. So we might be one small piece of the puzzle, but at least we are a piece of a bigger puzzle. And I'm glad to say that I'm a part of it and can put my input from my perspective and where I live at. And I appreciate all you guys, man. Yeah. So we just trying to do our best, man. That's all. People can criticize me for what I believe and what I don't do or do. But let me tell you something. When you are doing this stuff, you ain't going to have a lot of people for you. That's the reality. When I ask people to subscribe to the channel when I'm out in the streets, they look at me like I'm asking them for money or asking them for some great thing. Right. It ain't nothing but a subscription and looking on to see what's being talked about.
Our rent.
Right.
Nice, you pay our bills.
You know, people look at you like, subscribe. What?
Right.
Hold their stuff and hold their pocket. But look, I don't want money from you.
Right.
I don't want nothing from you.
Right.
I just want you to look at the content, and if it's suitable or if you can get with what is being talked about, so just subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button. Pass it along. That's all.
We just have to learn how to support one another. You know, I believe in supporting everybody, but the African American community does not support one another. That's just factual. I hate to separate us. I hate to say African Americans, but it's the truth. You know, we are so divided. We are so separate in our minds and our thinking. Like, why we can't come together? I want to do a show with just women, because our sisters also, we are so divided and against one another. You know, I'm for supporting my sisterhood, supporting my sisters, and us elevating and getting to a better place and learning how to coexist with each other and hang out with each other, and you know, without cat fighting and competing and stealing each other's man and all of that kind of stuff, backbiting and all of that kind of stuff, underhanded, sneaky, jealous, behind the scene type of thing. We have to come together and be sisters and unite as sisters and lift each other up. Like, Jesus, come on. Like, it's time out for all of that other stuff. You know, we have so much against us already. You know, we have so much against us already, so we're going to beat each other up. You know what I'm saying? If I see another chick coming against another chick, you know what I'm saying? For what? For what? What are you fighting for? What are you arguing about? What is it? You're the same. If you take off the makeup, take out the weave, take all the stuff off of you, and God knows half of that stuff on the females today, they're not loving themselves because they putting all these fake chemicals in their body to look a certain way or whatever. Love yourself and love your sister. That's it. And
Right.
I want to do a show, you know, talking about different topics, and I'm not going to spill the beans. But it's coming, and I'm going to come with my sisters, all shapes and sizes. Okay? And we're going to come together and be united and lift each other up, because that's what it's about. And the brothers need to learn how to do it as well. That's why we're not getting support, because somebody is trying to compete with the next person or trying to knock the next person down for them to get ahead. It's enough room and it's enough space. You do not have to step on me for you to come up. Okay? You do not have to step on us. You don't have to step on Ace to come up. You don't have to step on the next brother or the next sister for you to come up. It's enough of that. Time out for that. It's time out. It's enough people that hate us to begin with. We don't need to help them. We don't need to help them. That's why there's all this stuff going on. People are outraged about police brutality in Baltimore. We are tired of our children killing each other. Our black teens and our black young men killing each other like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. Every day. Couldn't even have a weekend, ceasefire weekend. They couldn't even go the whole weekend without taking a life. Okay? And this stuff is hitting close to home. You know, some of them were friends of mine, family members, of friends, family members. Okay? That they're posting all of this stuff on Facebook and on Instagram and all these. And these are people that are connected to us in some kind of way. You know, not our immediate family. But then you got, you know, people dying from sicknesses. But then you got people that's just dying because they looked at somebody the wrong way or they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. A 15-year-old boy just got murdered for walking down the street. Okay? Got robbed and shot in the forehead. Now, my son is 16. So those things, it just does something to me. Like talking about being there for your children. Keep your children off the corner. Keep your children out of the street. The street has no love for your child. And you're going to let the street raise your child? That's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. This is why it's important for you to stick with your kids and stick with your family. You cannot raise your boy to be a man and you are behind bars.
Yep.
That's not going to help him. Those streets out there are not for your children. And they're out there seeking it. They don't know what to do or where to go because father left. Mama wasn't doing what she was supposed to do. She was worried about the next man. And she wasn't worried about her children. It's so many different things out there, but we need to learn how to come together. It all works together. All of it comes together. If you look at it,
Right.
if you look at the community and why we're divided, it all comes together. We have to respect ourselves. We don't.
That's
We
true.
don't respect ourselves. You look at another race and you have more pride and admiration for somebody else. But what about your own self? What about your own culture? What about that? You don't see it? You don't see the value in it? So you're going to take somebody else's life just like that? That type of stuff bothers me to the core. And when I look at my city and what it goes through, it's positive things going on. But the negative is always outshining it.
Yep.
The negative always creeps back up. Couldn't even go a whole weekend during the ceasefire before they took a life.
Yep.
And then 2 at that.
That's facts. I wanted to say, Darkness Awakens, I subscribe to your channel. Nehemiah, subscribe to your channel. So I appreciate y'all help. Appreciate the building. Appreciate anybody who came to Ace's Corner Talk today. Thank you for subscribing.
Yes, thank you.
On your way out, press the like buttons. If you're watching, press the like buttons.
Please
Thank
share.
you.
Please share, y'all.
Let's just come together and build. I believe this is positive. Megalodon, thank you for coming by.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you for Conceited Bristol. She's working hard, she says.
Thank you, sis.
She's out there getting her knowledge on, getting her
School,
school work, getting her dollars on. You know, positive stuff, man. Thank you, sis, for coming back by Ace's Corner Talk. She's one of Baltimore's natives. Peace
right
to
now.
you. I thank my wife always for being a support to her husband, also being part of the Ace Corner Talk brand, Queen C. So I thank every single person. Darkness Awakens, thank you much for coming in the building. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All my overseas people who came in the chat, Logic, Food, Clothing, Shelton, always thank you, bro, for being a support and a consistent voice in our communities as well. Thank you, bro. Thank you to Morse World TV. My main man, Tahaka Bay, stopped in the building. Thank you, sir, for being a part of Ace's Corner Talk. Every single person that came through and contribute in one way or another, calling in, being a part of Ace's Corner Talk, I thank you so much. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Continue to let's support and build each other up. Don't be surprised if you see me pop in your chat and shout out whatever. That's how Ace do. Love to build with you. Love to support what you're doing. Ace is in the building, and we're going to say peace to the family. We got to get out of here, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.